Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
The Brewers are back home. Eric Dames trying to make it 3 straight games with a homer. He's one off the National League lead. And Will Myers of the San Diego Padres, one of the best power hitters in the game. The Friars are in Milwaukee tonight. Oh, great night for a tailgate. A Friday night here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got the U.S. Open going on. Major League Baseball here at Miller Park. The roof is open. We're having some fun in the summertime. It's the Padres and the Brewers. Game 1 of this 3-game series. And how about the series in St. Louis? The Brewers win yesterday. Great comeback win. Thames hit the 2-run home run to put them ahead for good. And the Brewers take 3 out of 4 from the Redbirds. Went 4-3 on the road trip. Speaking of hot teams, the San Diego Padres rolling together 19 runs and 34 hits in a 3-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. And that sets us up for our pitching matchup tonight. Junior Guerra will get the ball for the Brewers, the opening day starter, looking for his 2nd win of the season and his 6th start. And Miguel Diaz, who was in the Brewers minor league system last year. The guy was an A-ball. Now he gets a start against his old team. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park. Great to have you with us tonight. Brian Anderson along with Bill Schroeder. We'll hear from Jerry Augustine in just a moment, talk a little pitching. But you can't talk pitching unless you talk defense, and the Brewers' defense has been stellar here lately.
Yeah, the only way the Brewers can win close games, anybody can win close games, is when you have good defense. You minimize the outs for the opposition. The Brewers played errorless baseball in St. Louis. 5 consecutive games without an error, but it goes a lot deeper than that. I mean, not only are they making the plays that they should, but they're making an awful lot of exceptional plays. The throwing arm of Arcia, the double plays. They still lead the National League in double plays, actually tied with the Rockies. How about this play by Perez in left field coming into center field? And the Brewers just find ways to get outs, and they did that in St. Louis. Outstanding work, and hopefully that continues here in the homestand. The Brewers have been playing some great baseball away from home. Now it's time to start playing better at Miller Park.
Yeah, the Brewers are in first place. They'll try to keep it that way. All right, let's talk a little pitching and bring in our pitching expert, Jerry Augustine. You love great defense when you're on the mound, and tonight, Augie, it's going to be Junior Guerra. What do you have on him this evening?
Well, I'll tell you what, Junior Guerra, when you look at him, he's the kind of guy who can adapt and make the pitches you have to make. You'd call him a survivor. He keeps the team in the ballgame. But lately, the one pitch that he's been struggling with has been that fastball. Staying on a direct line to home plate, throwing the ball up and in. Sometimes his body falls off to that first base side. When he can go right down and through, he makes that good pitch. Here we see the ball go out. Here we see him going down to the plate, the ball going down and in. When you talk about Junior Guerra, there's no doubt he needs that fastball to be very effective. And when he has it, he makes good pitches with it. It enables him to throw that signature pitch. BA, that signature pitch is his big pitch, but he needs that fastball really to be successful.
Yeah, we'll see how many splitters he throws here in this game. Had a tough luck loss against the Arizona Diamondbacks his last time out. Junior Guerra in the Retro Fridays on the mound tonight. We got some new faces here at Miller Park for the first time. #1 prospect, Lewis Brinson, he's here. #1 pitching prospect, Josh Hader is here. We'll talk about it next. Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. By Hupy and Abraham, voted best, rated best. Hupy and Abraham, tell them you mean business. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. One of the great landmarks, the Art Museum, and there is the #1 prospect in the Brewers system, Lewis Brinson, signing autographs. And here at Miller Park for the first time, made his Major League debut Sunday. Josh Hader, the top pitching prospect, made his debut on Saturday and pitched 2 key innings in yesterday's win in St. Louis. Those two on display. Brinson in the lineup tonight in left field. Junior Guerra gets the ball. We've got baseball coming your way next. Lineups, first pitch from Miller Park. Friday look. 79 degrees, just a beautiful night for baseball tonight. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Roof is open. Great night to play a little baseball. The Padres are here. They are coming off a sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. And their starting lineup, their manager is Andy Green. He rolls it together like this. Jose Perella will lead off, then Frenchie Cordero, Will Myers, Yangervis Solarte, Hunter Renfroe, and Corey Spangenberg, Austin Hedges, Alan Cordova, and Miguel Diaz round out the starting 9 on the Potawatomi starting lineup. And we're ready to play ball as Junior Guerra ready to deal his first pitch, and it is in there for a strike, and away we go. First of a 7-game homestand for the Brewers. 3 with the Friars, 3 with the Pirates. Excuse me, 4 with the Pirates, and we'll conclude on Thursday afternoon. Now, Rock, Junior Guerra pitching back here at Miller Park was the opening day starter this year, and the overall numbers, despite missing 6 weeks with a calf strain, pretty good.
Yeah, very good. He's had times had to fight through his starts, but able to keep the Brewers in games. He took a loss his last time out.
No, jam shot into center field. On the run is Broxton, who overruns it and cannot make the play. And into second base goes Jose Perella.
Oh, you come on the air talking about good defense, and I think that was a jinx. Relatively routine play for Keon Broxton. He just overran it. I'm not sure if that ball had a lot of carry on it or what, but well, he kicks it. Looked like it was off the end of the bat a little bit. And Broxton going over and just flat out misses it. Overruns a good backup by Brinson to hold him to a double.
Man,
it's going to be a 2-base error.
E8, that snaps a string of 5 consecutive games without an error for the Brewers. And wouldn't you know, the night we spend all of our time talking about the Brewers' exceptional defense, there is an error before many have even gotten to their seats. So runner at second. And here is Franchi Cordero.
As we were talking about with Gary, he lost to the Diamondbacks his last time out in Arizona. 6 innings, pitched well, 3 runs, a 3-2 loss. Making start number 3 career against San Diego.
Guerra was the breakout pitcher last year for the Brewers. Ended up as the Brewers pitcher of the year. Quite the story at 31 years of age, making his first run in the major leagues, and not just out of the bullpen. He came to the Brewers as a starting pitcher. He put together a fantastic season, was 9-3 with a 2.81 ERA last year, and pitched so well, and then pitched so well in spring training in the Cactus League. He earned the opening day nod on the mound, and it was in that game in the 3rd inning. He was up there bunting as a hitter, and he injured his calf, his right calf, went on the disabled list for 6 weeks. So this is only his 6th start.
Bud has done a terrific job. He has maintained that spot as one of the top starters for the Brewers. Starting rotation has been terrific for the Brewers for a nice long stretch here.
3 balls and a strike to Cordero. And that's ball 4. And a challenging start to this one with a 2-base error. Now a walk, 2 on, nobody out.
Well, let's check out the Menards Brewers defense for the Brewers here tonight. You got Brinson, Broxton, and Santana, so you've got some pretty good speed in that outfield. You got Shaw Arce on the left, Sogard Thames on the right, and Manny Pena behind home plate. The Brewers tied with the Rockies for the most double plays turned in the National League with 77.
That's Paul Immel calling the balls and strikes. He's also the crew chief. Brian O'Nora, Quinn Wolcott, and Ramon De Jesus are the base umpires. And Junior Guerra pitching in some stress early. Will Myers steps in with 2 on, nobody out in the 1st inning. And a big swing and a miss by Myers. This is the big bat in the lineup. Myers with 12 homers, 33 driven in. He and Hunter Renfroe are their best home run hitters. Renfroe leads the club with 14, Myers with 12. And they've got Yangervis Solarte, a switch hitter, hitting 4th in their lineup, and he is their top run producer at this point. In the air to center field, that sounded good. Myers is watching this one fly, and wow, off the scoreboard. Will Myers, a 3-run home run, and just like that, the Brewers find themselves in a deep hole early.
And that ball was crushed out into center field off the scoreboard out there above the batter's eye, and well, Will Myers gave that one a pretty good ride home run for him in the 1st inning. And the Brewers have not surrendered too many runs in the 1st inning. His fastball pretty much down the middle of the plate. Myers gets good extension on it. There's a fastball, and there she goes. Sends it out of here deep into center field. Well, you start out with an error like that, it really changes the complexion of the inning.
Well, Guerra will start it all over again here. Down 3 runs. Back into the windup he goes. Yangervis Solarte leads away. San Diego's been scoring a ton of runs. Padres in that series against the Reds had 34 hits in 3 games. Won all 3 of those games.
Having 19 runs in those 3 games. The first win in Cincinnati, they just scored 9, so it's a bit deceiving, but still swinging the bats much better than they have for the most part this year.
Solarte pops this one up. This will stay playable, and it'll be Shaw to make the catch. And there is the first out of this ball game.
The Padres near the bottom of the league in just about every offensive category, including batting average. A .230 team batting average for the Padres. Only 80 home runs this year, and that's the one thing they've been doing a decent job of, hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Now that's the one bad Will Myers that you're trying to work around at all costs. You do not want him at the plate with men on base. He is their premier hitter, their third hitter. And he gives the Padres a 3-0 lead in the first. One away, here's Hunter Renfroe, and he's up there hacking, swinging away at the first pitch. Renfroe is the top home run producer for the San Diego Padres. He has 14. 33 runs batted in for Hunter Renfroe. Not a lot of household names, very similar to the Brewers. That ball's launched. Renfroe's going to watch this one fly out of here. And about as bad of a start as you could imagine for Junior Guerra. An error to start the game, and now 2 homers. It's 4-0 San Diego.
And he'd come into this game only allowing 4 homers in his first 5 starts, 2 in the first here. Well, the 2 big power threats for these Padres have done the job. That was actually a curveball from Guerra that just kind of hung up there, and Renfroe gives it a ride way back second deck and left. Hung the curveball, and he banged it out of here. His 3rd best pitch. He hung a curveball in Arizona. Jake Lamb hit it out of the ballpark.
Derek Johnson, a first inning visit. I wonder what he is offering to Junior Guerra. That looks like a one-way conversation out there. And we'll regroup.
That's basically what he's saying. I mean, you can't worry about what has happened. We got to settle down. We need some outs. Get back into your rhythm and start making good pitches.
Well, the Brewers know their opponent on the mound for the Padres tonight is a young kid who made the jump from A ball to the majors. There's a high fly ball to left. Brinson will settle under it. And there is the second out. Corey Spangenberg on an F7. And some early hacks against Junior Guerra. He's only thrown 16 pitches. Already 2 hits, 4 runs on the board. He's got 2 outs.
Well, that's pretty much the scouting report on Guerra. Get a fastball early in the count before you have to deal with a split. So you better make sure you put the fastball, first, second pitch in a pretty good spot.
So 2 men are gone. Here's Austin Hedges. These 2 teams are 1 and 2 in the majors. Brewers being number 1, Padres 2. In the differential between batting with 2 strikes versus less than 2 strikes. So it speaks right to what Rock's talking about, the aggressive nature of the Padres and the Brewers. So the Brewers are hitting .361 as a team batting average when they're up there less than 2 strikes. Obviously you're getting a lot of early swings, but then with 2 strikes, Brewers are hitting just .160. Padres are even worse at .141. Bottom line is you have 2 teams generally that don't want to get to 2 strikes in a count.
And ordinarily, I mean it's all with a grain of salt. I mean, not too many teams are going to be good as a group with 2 strikes, but that is particularly bad. Those batting averages with 2 strikes.
And a 3-0 misses low and away. Ball 4. Second walk of the inning. And the 8th batter of the inning is coming up in Alan Cordoba.
Well, a lot of breaking balls, and I don't know if he's thrown a splitter yet. I don't remember one. He's thrown a bunch of curveballs. He threw 2 to start Hedges off, both out of the strike zone. Trying something different.
So it'll be Cordoba now. The Padres shortstop, runner at first. 2 gone in the first. And he's swinging away at the first pitch. Rock was talking about how good the starting pitchers have been as a group. You can take it back 21 games, not including this start by Guerra, but the previous 21 games, the Brewer starters have an ERA of .282 combined, giving the club plenty of opportunities to win games.
4 runs in the first, 3 of them earned at this point.
Oh, and 2 the count. Alan Cordoba at the plate for San Diego, and a swing and a foul, just hanging in there. Brewers took 3 out of 4 from San Diego at Petco Park in May. And until last night's win for Craig Counsell and company, that was the last series win in a 4-gamer, and the Brewers were able to pick up another series win against St. Louis, winning 3 out of 4. Key win last night. It was impressive. Brewers played great defense. They had essentially 3 of their best relievers not available in last night's game. And so they got to the finish line with Josh Hader and Carlos Torres, and the man who closed the game was Oliver Drake. He notched his first career save in the big leagues. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, that win last night in St. Louis was a particularly satisfying win for Craig Counsell. I talked to Counsell before the ball game during batting practice. He was very pleased with the way his defense went about their business, all the hustle that they were able to put forth, and those guys in the bullpen. I mean, Hader with 2 scoreless innings. That Torres and Drake finishing it up.
1 and 2 the count. Cordoba takes a ball. 8th place hitter putting up a good fight here against Guerra. Last time we saw Guerra here at Miller Park, he was hesitant to throw the split finger fastball as well. Not seeing as many. He used to throw a ton, maybe every other pitch, it felt like.
Yeah. One of the best swing and miss pitches in baseball last year.
So it does make you wonder. You hope it's not something in the elbow or something bothered him. He did go through a little dead arm phase. And the 2-2 rolled out to Arce. He's got to hustle it over to first. Low throw. Just got him. Close play. The inning is finally over, but the San Diego Padres drop a 4 spot on the Brewers. Brewers coming up for the first time with some work to do. The first, Padres out 4-0. Home runs from Myers and Renfroe. There's Craig Counsell. Tough start for the Brewers here, but he knows his offense has been clicking along, and let's see if they can get back in this thing quickly. Potawatomi batting order for Counsell tonight. He's got Eric Sogard back at the top, Thames to follow, and then Santana. Middle of the order is Travis Shaw, Manny Pena, and Keon Broxton. Brinson in his Miller Park debut. Orlando Arcia, then Junior Guerra round out the starting 9. And how about this, Rock? That is Miguel Diaz He was pitching in A-ball for the Brewers last year for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, and here he is in the major leagues.
He threw the baseball pretty well. 371 earned run average last year in Appleton, but 1 in 8, a Rule 5 pickup by the Padres. So here he is in the big leagues making his second start. He only threw 2 innings and a no decision against the Royals back on June 10th.
And we realize we have some explaining to do on Diaz. It's a fairly complicated system, but bottom line is, in the Rule 5 draft, when you take that player, when you claim that player, he either has to stay in the major leagues, right, the whole year, or you've got to offer him back to his original ball club. Now, the thing about Diaz, the little quirk in it, is that he was actually taken by the Twins in the Rule 5 draft. The Twins took him and plucked him off the Brewers roster, and then the Twins traded him to San Diego. And you can bounce around teams as long as you're in the big leagues. So it's been a wild road for a guy with a very big fastball as Sogard pops this one up, and the shortstop Cordoba makes the play for the first out.
Well, it's just a matter of how long he's going to be able to be out there in his second start. Let's check out the Menards Padres defense. You got Perella in left, Cordero in center, Renfroe, the big home run hitter, in right, Spangenberg, Cordoba, Solarte, and Myers from third to first, and Austin Hedges behind home plate. 46 errors for the Padres, tied for the most in the NL.
Well, they got some guys who are playing in positions that they didn't come up playing, including their shortstop and their center fielder. Each started in the other position. Hedges with a home run already tonight, the right fielder. Eric Dames hit the big homer last night, the 2-run shot that sent us all home. 9th inning homer on an 0-2 pitch with 2 outs in the 9th.
Against the Cardinals closer. Hit the top of the wall, bounced over.
Then he pulls that one foul. 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Diaz. That home run last night for Thames was his 18th of the year. He is 1 off the National League lead. 2 players with 19 home runs. Joey Votto of the Reds, Ryan Zimmerman of the Nationals. Zimmerman leads the league in batting average, by the way. He's having a monster year. Leading vote getter is Zimmerman at first base. There's a bouncer to second. And there is out number 2, shortstop Cordoba over there in the shift.
Yeah, Diaz got a big arm. He's got that 97-mile-an-hour 4-seamer. He'll throw a 2-seamer as well. Curveball and changeup. Not sure how many changeups you're going to see from him. We've already seen a couple of curveballs.
Now, the Brewers are a very young team anyway. A lot of guys from their minor league system. As Santana slaps one foul. So put yourself in the mind of Miguel Diaz, and he's facing a lineup that's going to have players like Orlando Arcia and Manny Pena, even Lewis Brinson, who was acquired last year. These are players that were not just 1 step ahead of Diaz last year, but 2 steps. And then with all that happened in the offseason, he's pitching against very familiar foes. Not that he's faced them, because he was in single A. There is not one player that he played with that has arrived to the Brewers yet. Padres are willing to call this a development year for the 22-year-old Diaz, just to see if they can find something. Once you make it through the year, then you can go back to the minors. Very similar to what the Brewers did with Wei-Chung Wong. And he was back in the minor leagues after that season. Andy Green, skipper of the Padres, 2nd season.
Yeah, they won 3 in a row after dropping 7 of 8 previous games.
One-two pitch. Santana strikes out, and a 3-up, 3-down inning for Miguel Diaz. Padres get 4 in the top half of the first. Brewers go in order in the bottom half. Second inning, and time now for our Car Soup scoop from the clubhouse. News on Ryan Braun. Took batting practice once again. He's continued to take fly balls in the outfield, doing a little bit of running in the outfield as well. We saw that in St. Louis. No timetable for a return yet, Rock, but the Brewers are hopeful. The fact that he is continuing the process, no setback so far, leads you to believe that there is a potential minor league rehab outing in his future, and then he'll be back with the club. The pitcher Diaz bounces out, and one gone for Guerra.
Yeah, it's all well and good, you know, these controlled workouts, but we were talking about this last night, the fact that it's going to be very important for the Brewers to have Ryan maybe playing a game down in the minor leagues to see if he can do it in game action. You know, those quick starts and stops in the outfield and on the bases before they take him off the disabled list. I don't think it's going to be that much longer before you're going to see Robin, or I should say Robin, yeah. Ryan on a rehab assignment. Not sure how long that's going to last either. I don't think he's going to be down there very long.
Yeah, might see him. It could see him at the end of this homestand. That's a possibility, I suppose. Certainly the next road trip is open for a return, but it all depends on how the progress goes. So no timetable there. That's the update on Braun. In the meantime, the Brewers have played very well and swung the bats very well the last 3 games without Braun in the lineup, which is surprising when you lose your best hitter like that. The Brewers are having very good success winning the last 3 games in the series against the Cardinals. Travis Shaw has been a big part of that. He's the top run producer with 46 RBIs. Thames, the leading home run hitter, with 18. Sogard's been a nice boost at the top of the order for Milwaukee this season. 2-1 in the air to right field, and Santana went back, now coming in to make a basket catch. Something about the way the ball's coming off the bat of Pirela that's got these Brewers outfielders a little confused.
Yeah, went off to the side, then had to come in. The ball hung up for Domingo enough for him to make the catch. About knee high. Yeah, a little jam shot, a little circle route, and Domingo Santana able to make the catch. But anyway, talking about Ryan Braun, he's essentially been on the disabled list since about May 12th. Came off for about 4 days, went right back on, and
yeah, he played a month and then he's been out a month basically.
Yeah.
And yet the Brewers remain in first place in the division. 36 wins, 32 losses. The only team in the division with a winning record. Guerra facing Cordero. Franchi Cordero. To get used to some of these new Padres players. They have a very young roster. A lot of talent in their organization. Cordero is just 22. And getting a great opportunity, as are many of them, and many of the Brewers for that matter. Padres are deep into a rebuild right now. Brewers feel like they're on the backside of it, and if they keep playing like this, they might consider themselves rebuilt at some point this year.
Padres in the bottom of the league in offense and pitching. Defense. Got a ways to go.
Two the count. One of the rare splitters that Guerra has thrown tonight, that last one. Coming in at 85 miles an hour as well. You don't know if it's game plan or if he's lost the feel a little bit of the split finger fastball. Who knows? But that's back-to-back splitters now, Rock.
Now
this one kind of hanging up there.
Yeah, look where it ends up. I mean, really no movement going down at all. Maybe he realizes that and he's trying something different.
Hey, put a fastball right by him. So Guerra, a good bounce back. 1, 2, 3 inning. Travis Shaw, top run producer for the Brew Crew. He'll lead off when we come back. Brewers down 4-0. first inning for the Padres. By the way, tonight we are participating in the home run challenge. Every home run and strikeout in this game raises money for prostate cancer research. And since June 1st, $3.3 million have been raised in the challenge. You can make a pledge by going to homerunchallenge.org. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder. Jerry Augustine working the dugout for us. We'll get into some pitching with Augie in a little bit. Miguel Diaz is on the mound for San Diego, his second inning after a 3-up, 3-down first. And Travis Shaw at the plate.
By the way, do you any idea where the gummy bears came from? Oh, is that Rick?
That was a Rick Ramirez special. We had a gift waiting for us.
Nice.
A package of gummy bears. Appreciate that. Shaw, deep center field, way back. There it goes, off the scoreboard. Bernie hits the slide. Travis Shaw with number 12. And it's 4-1.
All right, no cheapies here tonight. I mean, all 3 home runs hit tonight have been bombed.
Wow.
Home run number 95 for the Brewers. Well, you see it out over the plate. Talk about extension. He got it on the sweet spot, and there she goes. Up off the Miller light sign out there, and Brewers on the board.
Scoreboard has taken a beating here tonight already. Myers and Shaw smashing the giant scoreboard in center field. That is a long way up there, folks. It'll be fun to get a measurement on that one. Last night we saw the longest home run of the year by a Brewer. Keon Broxton hit one 489 feet, which was the longest ever in the StatCast era, the longest ever at New Busch Stadium, Busch version 3.
And one of the longest in baseball this year.
Yeah, second longest, as a matter of fact, to Aaron Judge of the Yankees. Pena a little bit late, fouls it away.
Well, you might see some bombs, now at Miller Park. The weather's starting to heat up. Roof open, panels open, and I'll tell you, that's when the ball carries out of here. Starts warming up here in Milwaukee.
A hitter's haven. Not so much in April, even though it is climate controlled on those really cold or rainy nights, but there is no heat inside Miller Park, or at least it can only heat at 20 degrees. So those cold nights, it stays pretty cool inside the ballpark, and the ball doesn't travel like it does when it's all heated up in the summertime. But when it is cooking in Wisconsin in the summer, that's when you see the tape measure shots. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Just the opposite in San Diego. They play in one of the more pitcher-friendly ballparks in the big leagues.
Although they've done a lot to make it a better hitter's ballpark. They brought the fences in a bit.
Pena down the line, foul. Counted 3-2 to the Brewer catcher. There's good energy in the ballpark tonight. Good crowd turning out on a Friday night. And as you would suspect, as the Brewers remain relevant and remain at the top of the division, this is the place to be in the summertime in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great sports weekend here in the area, with the U.S. Open being played as well at Erin Hills. Pena strikes out, one gone here in the second inning. Talking home runs for Broxton, Aaron Judge has the longest home run of the year. This was against Baltimore on June 11th. So it was a deep left center field shot, 495 feet. And then last night, Keon Broxton hit the second longest home run in the big leagues this year.
Yeah, Michael Walker giving him a fastball middle in, and watch where that one ends up.
We'll see if Broxton can keep it going. He's been a hot hitter lately. A very streaky hitter that he is. 9 home runs, 22 driven in for the Brewers center fielder. Broxton still strikes out a lot. That's the next part of his game that he'd like to curtail a little bit, make more contact. He does have great speed. You don't want to take away that power. But with 2 strikes, the Brewers would love to see Broxton be able to put the ball in play a little bit more.
That's the thing. It's a fine line when you try and get a guy to cut down on his swing and make more contact. I mean, you can do that. You can talk to him about that with 2 strikes, but a hitter is going to be the way he is. There's not too many guys can change very quickly. You're either a home run hitter that strikes out a lot, or you're a guy that makes good contact, like a guy like Eric Sogard. And it's the responsibility of the manager to put you in the spot in the batting order that fits the team best.
3-2 pitch in there, called strike 3. Back to the fastball, back-to-back strikeouts for Diaz.
Yeah, the Brewers and Padres continue this series tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. And as part of Faith Day presented by Thrivent Financial, Mercy Me will perform a full-length post-game concert free for all fans who stick around after the game. For tickets and details, go to brewers.com/theme night.
I'm going to host a little Q&A for that event before the concert. Chase Anderson, I believe Jared Hughes is going to participate. Marcus Hanel.
What kind of questions are you going to ask?
I don't know. We'll just talk about, you know, these players' faith and the music we're about to hear. We need something to fill up the time while they bring the stage out onto the field. I have been designated the official time filler. I got to come up with something intriguing.
You always do, don't you? Every night?
We'll see. See, I'm going to have to do a little research on these guys.
Tell me how that goes, by the way.
You'll be out there on the set doing the postgame show, I'm sure.
Maybe they could just pump that in.
Diaz strikes out Brinson. 3 consecutive Ks after the home run by Travis Shaw. Well, Shaw didn't miss off the scoreboard to get the Brewers on the board. And Bernie with a quick trip down the slide. Home run number 12 for Shaw. Had a great road trip. Had 6 hits in that Cardinals series, including a home run in St. Louis. 4-1 San Diego. We go to the 3rd inning. Here's Will Myers to lead off. A 3-run home run in the first. And that hit him. Clipped a piece of his uniform pants. And Myers runs to first base. Home plate umpire Paul Emmel.
Not sure.
He never really made a call. You can certainly look at this on replay.
It's awfully hard to overturn, though. Does it get the jersey? Boy, if it does, it just barely scraped it. I don't know.
Yeah, that first angle is probably the best look we'll get at it, but
yeah, but you can't really, you can't tell either way, and Not sure that's going to get overturned.
Don't want to waste a challenge on that. Well, so Guerra puts a man on to start this third inning. Had a 1-2-3 second inning with his first strikeout. 4 runs in the first. He gave up 2 hits, 2 walks. There was an error by Broxton to start the game. And it went south pretty quickly. The Padres swinging early in the counts. Guerra trying to settle in here, keep the Padres at 4 and give his offense a chance to fight their way back.
Yeah, only 2 hits in the inning, both home runs. There was an error and a walk.
Yankees Solarte popped up to the third baseman his last time up. Myers is a guy to keep an eye on the base paths. He leads their club in steals with 8. He's been caught 3 times. He's that rare combo of power and speed. Guerra just doesn't look himself. Minus the runs that are on the board, he's not pitching with his normal repertoire. He's pretty deliberate between pitches too, so you can tell there's a lot going on between the ears right now.
You know what it is? Just doesn't have a good splitter, and that makes things much more difficult for him. Fastball, curveball, he's been throwing a lot. 2 seamers. Not able to get that split fingered fastball down in the strike zone. He's leaving it up. It's almost looking like a changeup as it gets to home plate.
Our pitching expert Jerry Augustine has a ground view of Junior Guerra, and Augie, we're watching him pitch, and you know he's normally a pretty rhythmic pitcher with good tempo, but that's not been the case so far tonight. What are you seeing down there?
I think Rock hit it perfect. He doesn't have that great command of the split finger, and that's his signature pitch. But like we talked in the pregame, is that he has to command the fastball. The fastball's going to set the tone for what he does. And when you watch Junior Guerra go to the plate, you'll see him fall a little bit off to the first base side. And sometimes with his delivery, it's where he falls off.
Little fly ball into center field. So he comes back to get Yankees Solarte.
And when you don't have your best pitch working for you, you have to start making stuff up. He just got an out on a 2-seam fastball. There's a fastball right down the middle of the plate, maybe a little bit middle in, and after an error, a walk, and this home run, he got behind 3-0. So, you know, it's you almost have to start making things up when you're without your best pitch, and that's that split-fingered fastball. But you're right. I mean, Augie saying he normally has pretty good command of the fastball, both in and out. I mean, he relies on high fastball splitter, high fastball, then the splitter down, but the splitter hasn't been down.
You are exactly right, Rock. And you know what he does is sometimes he gets in a habit where he wants to throw that 2-seam fastball down, and sometimes he falls off towards as he's going down towards the plate, he falls off to the left side or towards the first base side, and then your arm drags and he cannot locate it. And the location of those pitches are so important. If he can get ahead with the fastball and locate that pitch, like you said, the fastball up, 2-seamer down, then he can use that split finger, and it seems like he's a lot more effective then.
So how about mentality right now for you two? I mean, you're down 4-1. You're in the third inning. These are not a lot of household names with the Padres, but it is a young, raw, talented team. You know, they can show flashes of great power, great speed. Augie, what's the game plan for Guerra moving forward now?
Well, the whole thing is getting ahead of hitters and using the fastball. I think he needs that split finger in order to be successful. We all know that. But he's got to pitch ahead. He's got to go strike one, get ahead with that fastball and throw into good locations. Right there, we saw him go directly at the plate and go follow through with his arm before he fell off to that side. That's what he needs to do. Get that good delivery with the hand down through the zone, and then that'll extend him and allow him to locate his pitches much better.
A velocity concern you at all, Rock? I mean, he's been as fast as 95 miles an hour in the past.
Yeah, it's been down for the last few starts.
Hovering around 90. That one came in at 89.
And we've been talking, I mean, we talk about this a lot in spring training, Augie, the dead arm. I mean, try to explain what the dead arm is. It's not something, you know, that you experience when you're hurt. It's just one of those things where you just don't feel like you can put the ball where you want it. Tell us about what the dead arm problem is.
Well, a lot of times when you talk about dead arm is you don't feel bad. You feel like it's used that when you just don't follow through, like your delivery's not 100% where you want it. And sometimes with Garrett Jr., it's like that because he falls off a little bit and the arm drags. And sometimes when you do that on a consistent basis, you just don't feel comfortable. And that's when you feel like you've got a dead arm, like you can't really follow through. When he goes straight to the plate, allows himself to go down to the plate with his pitching hand and then fall off, he really gets that good fastball and that good movement on it.
See what he has in mind here to Renfroe. Fouls away a 1-2 pitch. That was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
And again, we're not saying that he's experienced that. That's just an option and maybe something that's going on with him. And most pitchers will experience that and work through that in spring training. Right. Now, Junior Guerra, you know, he went 6-7 weeks between starts. So maybe feeling a little bit of that.
Rock, you brought up a great point there. He's kind of still finding himself, and sometimes you have that layoff and it happens.
Soft liner to Arcia, guns one to first, that gets by Thames, bounces right back to him. Had a chance there to double play. Arcia patient to make the catch on the broken bat. Little soft liner for the second out of the inning, and there are very few shortstops who can get a double play on that one, as you see the splitter grip from Guerra.
Yeah, it's away, but it's up. I mean, he's having a difficult time getting that pitch down. And Arcia right away making a throw. Kind of surprised Thames. I don't think Thames was expecting to throw. But with Orlando Arcia, you better be ready. He might throw it at any time.
Well, that was a fortunate bounce off the concrete part, the lower part of that dugout over there. Otherwise, the Brewers are going to be looking at their second error. So 2 men are out. Here is Spangenberg now. Padres have 2 lefties and a switch hitter in their lineup tonight. So Guerra facing 3 off the left side. So Larte is the left-handed, or rather the switch hitter in that group. Spangenberg flew out to left. His first time up. Spangenberg, you feel like he's one of the newer Padres. At 26 years of age, he's kind of the old man on this ball club. His 4th year with San Diego. In the dirt, Pena blocks, and Myers stays put.
Yeah, there's a nice block by Manny Pena. And again, when you're back there and you're catching a split-fingered fastball pitcher, you got to figure you're going to be getting a lot of pitches in the dirt. You got to be ready to block him every time you call it. That's a good sign. You'd rather have it down there than up around the belt. Good block by Manny.
One ball, one strike. 2 men are out. Spangenberg had a bad injury last year, quad injury. Only played in 14 games a season ago. Had a trip through the minor leagues, and now he's here back in the big leagues with San Diego. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Padre third baseman, and he lines one that is foul. A foul ball. That was close.
It was close to hitting Thames' glove too. If it hits the glove in fair territory, it doesn't matter where it lands after that. See Thames, watch the dive. And he's not too far from that baseball. Apparently he didn't get a piece of it. And that would have been a fair ball. He didn't miss it by much, did he?
Quick reflexes by Brian O'Nora, the first base umpire.
Well, he had to make sure that that baseball didn't hit Thames' glove, and then that turned around to see where it landed. Quick as a cat.
Yeah, he's looking for a place to hide. Umpires stand in foul territory. If they're forced to move, then pretty good bet it's going to be a foul ball, right?
Look how close he is to Thames. I mean, not only is he in danger of getting hit by a foul ball, but if Garrett makes a bad throw to first base, that gets him too. That's about as close as you're going to see an umpire stand with a man at first.
He is right there trying to get a good look at any pickoff throw to first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Myers was hit by a pitch to start the inning. He's still at first. And Guerra just missed. Boy, that didn't look like it missed by much. Guerra was ready to walk off the mound.
Yeah, right at the bottom of the strike zone, and could have gone either way.
Pushes the count to 2-2. And now it goes full. He's not missing by much.
And Spangenberg very fortunate last 2 pitches. I mean, does he have that good eye, you think? I don't know. Look at those pitches. If they're close, take them. They might be balls.
Yep.
A little different philosophy with 2 strikes these days.
Payoff. Myers takes off, and timeout was called. I think Pena actually requested the timeout. This is a tough combo to run on. You saw Myers. He was trying to get a good lead, maybe get a good break early in this sequence, but good throws by Guerra. He's got quick feet, gets it to the mound quickly. Pena's got a very good throwing arm, and he's taking a little life out of Will Myers. He is not even attempting to get a good lead to run. He's going to run here on the 3-2 pitch, and Spangenberg sends it deep to right. Santana's going back. This ball near the wall. Santana makes the catch. Well, Domingo put it on cruise control, had it all the way. And the inning is over. Long, loud out. And back-to-back scoreless innings for Junior Guerra. Brewers coming up, bottom of the 3rd.
As we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning, Craig Kashan back with you here on the broadcast along with Rick Schlesinger. It's the beginning of another homestand, Rick, 7-gamer. Tonight you had the t-shirt giveaway. Tomorrow, a very unique and new promotion, Faith Day.
Yeah, Faith Night, and we've got Mercy Me with a post-game concert, 3:10 start, so it'll be a nice evening. And I think a lot of people are excited about it. And again, it's a new promotion for 2017. Always looking for different ways to get the fans to come out and think this is going to be popular.
And then Father's Day, you've got the umbrellas, and it might turn out to be a good day for that, I think.
Well, we've got a roof, so luckily we don't need them indoors, but you're right. With the weather in Wisconsin this summer, we need umbrellas.
Monday, another T-shirt giveaway. What do you have in store there? That's kind of a late add-in, as I understand.
Eric Thames' Fear the Beard silhouette.
Good way to start out the inning here with the Brewers trailing and a base hit. So Monday, it's the Eric Thames Revere the Beard, and then Wednesday, real quick, Pack at the Park. What do you got going on?
Theme night, Mike McCarthy. I'm sorry, not Mike McCarthy, the GM. We've got a Packers themed hat. Special night, obviously, it's a special package. So not everybody gets the Brewers themed hat, but there's a chance to get some left. We still have a few to be sold. But again, Packers, Brewers, two big names in Wisconsin sports.
They go hand in hand for sure. Rick, thanks, and good luck the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Greg.
Back to you, Brian.
All right, thanks a lot. That's a great spot out there at the point. Great spot to watch a ball game.
Yeah, good spot to do a game some night.
You know, just get a couple of stools and go hang out.
Hang out there, you and me. And
catch a couple of home run balls.
I'm just saying.
We'll bring our glove. Base hit by Arcia to start the third. Gives Guerra a chance to move him over. Rick Schlesinger and his team, they do a great job. They're going through all the renovations in the concourse area, the new food and beverage initiative. If you haven't been to Miller Park yet this year, make sure you make plans soon. It is quite the spectacle down there. It's a beautiful change and great food. Got the local favorite restaurants like Smoke Shack and AJ Bombers, and a great setup, all the different kind of beers. Of course, you can get a famous Clements Brat as well.
Yep.
I like that bar right there, Rock.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, the whole concourse. I mean, we never get to enjoy it. We walk around through there when it's all empty out there, and you can just imagine what it would be like. Enjoy that during a game.
It's a good bunt by Guerra. Myers fields it, puts the tag on him. That'll be a sacrifice. And we'll advance Arcia. Brewers trying to chip away here, falling behind 4-0 in the first inning.
Yeah, we don't get to get down in the concourse, but you know, Seth Vanderland, he'd bring some of the treats up to us.
Yeah, every now and then, Seth. Just saying, if you're listening,
the pizza,
fish fry tonight up here. That was outstanding. Yeah, that's a great bar. The thing about that bar right there is you can stand there, and it's, you know, obviously in the round, but you can stand at the bar and not lose sight of the game.
Right.
And there's monitors everywhere, and you still get the feel of the ballpark.
Maybe that'd be a good place to do a game.
I think that we might lose you in that case. Although what I remember when we used to make appearances for Miller Beer, you were quite handy behind the bar.
Yeah. And
that might be a good spot. Usually the way it would work is Rock would convince me to go to this appearance, and then he'd introduce me and he'd tell a few jokes, and then I wouldn't see him the rest of the night.
I was glad-handed. Handed beers.
That's kind of the way I'm figuring the television broadcast would go. Sogard cutting a foul right into the middle of the catcher. It's always great to be back in Miller Park.
Isn't it, though?
Boy, especially after all that rain in St. Louis, and played a doubleheader, then had 2 rain delays. Love that roof.
Well, you know what makes the road trip go a lot quicker is wins, and the Brewers able to continue to win on the road.
Yeah, nice little rally. The Brewers went 4-3 on the road trip, winning the last 3 games to do it.
It's always a special feeling when you're able to get out of Busch Stadium with a series victory. It took the Brewers a long time between series victories. Early in the season, they won a series at Busch. What was it, 14 straight?
That was the first since 12, yeah. Sogard looks at a ball. So far, Diaz has had pretty good command. His fastball is electric, so although he has struggled and he's just now getting into the starting rotation, if he's throwing strikes with anything other than his fastball, even occasionally, it completely changes how hitters approach him. 2-1 to Sogard. He slings one high for a ball, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike now.
He does have a live electric arm, and there are times when he doesn't know where it's going. That's what we've told anyway, but he's been able to throw a lot of strikes tonight so far. Down in the count here to Sogard.
Runner at second. Arcia, 1 away. Sogard takes a strike.
Took a little off.
Sogard as a leadoff hitter. The Brewers have a record of 11-4. He was in the leadoff spot last night. He has been a great find for the Brewers. Out all of last year with a knee injury. Longtime Oakland Athletic. And Sogard takes a called strike 3. Didn't like that call. And another change of pace from Diaz, and that's what we're talking about. If he's throwing those pitches for strikes, he's going to have success.
Yep, that one right at the top of the strike zone, and you see the changeup rolls off the 3 fingers, choking off the speed, and able to get the strike call.
High strike is open tonight. The low strike not so much. So it'll be Thames with a runner at second and 2 outs now. And right back to the mound. Diaz makes the play to end the inning, and a promising start for the Brewers, but they come up empty. We go to the 4th, 4-1 San Diego. Rock, check it out. Anthony Rizzo, first inning, launches one, what he thinks is a home run at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, got the throwback uniforms on. Now they went and looked at it. It was overturned. And then Joe Madden got ejected. Jeff Kellogg with the quick thumb. And that was how the game began in Pittsburgh for the Chicago Cubs in unusual throwback uniforms. I didn't even know Joe Madden was number 70. He never wears his jersey.
Right. He's got the hoodie on all the time, right?
So Madden's gone, and Rizzo does not get his leadoff home run.
I think he got ejected because he got tired of wearing that uniform.
Maybe so. He's embarrassed. Throw me out of here, man.
Enough.
Wow. Austin Hedges leads off for the Friars here in the 4th inning.
So it was a call to home run.
Yeah.
Review.
Overturned.
New York told him it was a foul ball.
Correct. I think
Yeah.
somebody overturned it. I'm
Right,
sure
right.
it went to some sort of challenge.
Well, yeah. So who do you argue with?
Pick up the headset, start barking. The interesting part of that is the fact that Anthony Rizzo, as he's been hitting leadoff.
Right. He's been hot.
And he's hit 2 home runs as a leadoff hitter already in New York, and that would have been a 3rd game in the last 4 days as a leadoff hitter, and not to be. It's a strange lineup. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. A strikeout. Guerra gets Austin Hedges to start the 4th inning.
So it's probably good that they don't identify who the umpire is in New York.
Right.
You know, looking at these plays. A good pitch right on the outside corner to get him. Fastball from Guerra. Can you imagine? I mean, say it's, you know, such and such. He comes to Miller Park a week later, and then all of a sudden, you got a Donnybrook at home plate when the lineups are being exchanged.
Says, I have a bone to pick with you. Remember 15 days ago? And now in the playoffs, they do announce who the umpire is in the replay center during the postseason. There are 6 field umpires, and then you have the replay umpire as well, and they rotate into the mix throughout. So you may go, say you get into a series and you go the first game, and the guy who was in the replay center, now the next game he's on the field, or the next series he's on the field when it transfers from one park to the other. So then you could, I suppose, argue with him when you see him at that point.
Right.
Now 3 balls, no strikes on Alan Cordoba. I'm still waiting for the first manager to pick up that headset and start screaming into it.
I keep asking myself why it has to be an umpire in that room. I mean, can anybody can go in there? I mean, somebody that has some type of knowledge of technology, a little bit of knowledge of baseball.
That's a big question.
Right? I mean, we can tell if a tag is made before a hand touches the base. Fair or foul. I mean, why does it have to be an umpire?
Next time we have Rob Manfred on the air, remind me to ask him. Or Joe Torre.
That is a rhetorical question, by the way. I don't expect an answer.
Fastball high.
Unless you have one.
I don't have one, other than I think it's all part of the. I mean, the real answer is you have to go negotiate that with the umpires union, and the part of that deal to implement replay was to add positions. Some of those positions where that umpires would spend a series in the replay center. So it created jobs. We're all about job creation for umpires in Major League Baseball. That's the only answer I can offer.
Okay, that's a good one. I like it.
Are you volunteering yourself to be one of the replay umpires?
No, I'm happy where I'm at.
We're happy to give our opinion. That's a bunt that is down. And Shaw, wow, almost threw it away. Sogard had to make a great catch.
Well, he's got to be ready for a bad throw. Well, Sogard doing a nice job adjusting and getting the out.
Shaw's one of those guys that most of his throws are on the money, always.
Yep, high fastball, and Diaz does a nice job getting it down. That ball, a difficult pitch to bunt. And put a little bit more on it than he had to.
Brewers are just a little off tonight, right? Padres score 4 in the first. There was an error in that first inning by Broxton.
Last time we talk about defense on the open.
Yeah, that's true. Brent Reeland, producer. I think it was his idea. Or my idea. I can't remember which. Probably his. Always blame your caddy. That's what I'm hearing out at the golf course this week. Speaking of golfers, say hello to our buddy Jonathan Randolph, the biggest Brewer fan from Mississippi. And he is competing in the U.S. Open. Had a chance to visit with Jonathan and his wife Lacey, his brother-in-law. They were here earlier today, went on the field, talked to some of the players. Jonathan's made the cut, sitting at 2 under. We wish him the best of luck playing in his first U.S. Open. Snap throw to second and back in time.
Was he giving free lessons down there?
No, he really didn't offer any golf lessons. Zach Davies had a chat with him. Pat Murphy came over. Jason Lane. Craig Counsell spent a little time with him as well. And golf never came up.
He's doing well, right?
He's having a good run. Back-to-back days of 1 under. And he's well inside the cut at -1. So Aaron Hills is standing up very well. Another pickoff that goes into center field, and now Cordoba is on his way to third, and that's going to be another error. Junior Guerra has errors in his last 2 starts. Cordoba goes to second on the bunt, goes to third on the E1. And the Padres have a runner at third.
5 consecutive games of errorless baseball and 2 tonight. Wasn't able to fully spin around and get in position to throw. Arm dropped and sailed into center field. This time Sogard not able to bail out the bad throw.
2-0 the count on Perella. There's a strike. A control fastball by Junior Guerra. He's been as fast as 93, but you could tell he's having to reach back for a little extra to hit that number. That's the free and easy cruising speed fastball there. 2 balls, 1 strike. Runner at third. Curveball fouled away. Two the count. Guerra trying to strand a runner at third, keep the Padres at 4. 2 outs in the 4th, and a swinging a lazy little pop up. Sogard's back, he's calling, and he's got it for the out. Inning over. Guerra leaves a runner at third base. We head to the home 4th. Santana will lead off, and then Travis Shaw, who's already banged one off the scoreboard. He's due up second. Heart of the order coming up for the Crew. Tomorrow, 3rd round coverage of the United States Open. 117th playing of the U.S. Open. You can check it out 10 a.m. Central on Fox tomorrow. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Coverage has been excellent. The leaderboard is packed. And this looks like a fun weekend coming up at Erin Hills, hosting their first U.S. Open. That's what the leaderboard looks like entering round 3.
Tough conditions today, huh?
Looks like the course is drying out a little bit.
Kind of dry. And balls rolling off the greens I was watching.
Little wind blowing.
You hit a good shot, lands what, 10 feet from the cup, rolls off the green. I saw that a couple of times.
A strike to Santana. I think the big story is the fact that the round 1 lead was -7, which was a record for a first round in a U.S. Open. It tied a record, and
no, it stayed there.
-7 is still the lead, and 4 players are in that lead. 2 Americans, 2 Englishmen, Casey and Fleetwood, and then Brian Harman and Brooks Koepka. Going to be a fun chase this weekend. You've been watching any of the U.S. Open?
Oh yeah, I said I was watching some nice shots. Second shots into the greens, roll off the green.
Normally when the majors come around, it inspires you to want to play golf again. Have we hit that spot yet?
No.
As Santana draws a walk.
No. I'll get out there though.
Former golfer Bill Schroeder.
I've quit, what, 12, 13 times?
At least since I've known you, and I've only been here 11 years.
All right.
All right, Travis Shaw with a man on. Shaw with a booming home run in the second. His 12th. 47 runs batted in now. Brewers are down 3. Shaw takes a ball high. Powerball home run count for Shaw, number 12. Might as well give him 2 on this one.
Yeah, no doubt right there. Barrels it up off the scoreboard and got the Brewers on the board.
Is there a sweeter sound for a hitter than to hear the bang of that scoreboard? That's a roll to first. Myers, nifty play, gets the out at second, but nobody is there. Yeah, pitcher didn't cover.
Yeah, that's Diaz right there. He's busted over to first base. There's no way Myers gets back. The only play is going to be the pitcher covering, and he doesn't even bother. There's that changeup again. He's got a good one tonight. Yeah, Shaw out in front of it, and you can see Myers got no chance to get back. Diaz has to cover but doesn't get there.
Myers a slick fielding first baseman.
A little hesitation too late.
That's big. The Brewers able to keep a man on for Manny Pena. Look out. Basically been fastball changeup, and the changeup is just good enough tonight for Diaz to keep the Brewer hitters a little off balance.
He's throwing a few curveballs and 4 seamers, 2 seamers. Basically 4 pitches that the Brewer hitters have to be aware of.
It's one of his best fastballs of the night, but Austin Hedges spotted something he didn't like there, and he's on his way out.
Maybe tiring, and there's activity out in that Padres bullpen. Now this is a guy that's coming out of the bullpen making only his 2nd start. He only went 2 innings his first time out back on the 10th.
Craig Stammen is loosening in the bullpen, knowing this would be a short start. Andy Green is probably ecstatic that he has gotten Diaz through the first 3 innings, only 1 run. 2-0 to Pena. On the ground, that's through, base hit. Manny Pena with a single in the hole. 2 on now for the Brewers, and they will bring the tying run to the plate.
And this is where Diaz not covering first base on that double play, possible double play ball. Comes in big. Now the Brewers with a man in scoring position. And Pena taking that fastball and able to just find a hole in the left field with it. Fastball down and in.
Keon Broxton now, who can handle the high velocity fastball as well as anyone. You know he's going to sell out for one in a spot like this. Long ball here ties the game. 2 on, 1 out. 97 powered it by him. Just the 2nd start, 23rd appearance for Diaz. His longest outing as a reliever was 3 innings. He did that against the Brewers in San Diego. Went 3 scoreless innings, as a matter of fact. Oh, big hack by Broxton, and he's down 0-2.
Yeah, that's the one you got to lay off of. That high fastball, that's a tough one to get to. They talk about it all the time, but looks so good to the eyes because it's right close to the eyes. Tough to square up on. Got to get it down in the zone.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 gone, 2 on, and the Brewers down 3. Diaz deals. Broxton jumps out of the way on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, hissing as it goes by.
too much velocity to take one for the team.
And that can work to his favor too. Just wild enough. Shaw's at second, Pena at first. Broxton jumps away again. Count goes to 2-2. Keon with 9 homers, 22 driven in. Got a runner in scoring position. 2-2 the count. Diaz with a long look. Now he comes home, and Broxton sends one deep to left, and there she goes. We are tied.
Well, he did get it down in the strike zone a little bit. Not as high. And look at Broxton. Good extension. Pops open the hip. See you later. Tie game. Boy, some kind of power. Quick hands on the inside part of the plate for Keon.
Thing of beauty.
Yeah. Those are some bombs he's hit last couple of nights.
That's the other side of the 2-strike approach, right? Let it rip with 2 strikes. A game tying 3-run home run for Keon Broxton, and the Brewers have come all the way back from down 4-0 on Broxton's 10th homer of the year.
It's not so much wild swings for Broxton. It's
Brenson sends one into left center. That's going to get down. Lewis Brenson can fly. He's on his way to second to make the turn. He's going to third. Throw to third. Brenson belly flop. Triple. His first in the big leagues. Second hit. And Brenson keeps the excitement going here at Miller Park.
Oh boy, talk about 2 guys back to back in the lineup. Very similar. Well, he just buggy whips that fastball and knocks it into the gap. The Brinson family having a good time.
All smiles. His only big league hit at this point was a swinging bunt, hit it about 50 feet. He tagged that one. And his first hit at Miller Park, and that's going to be the end of the night for Miguel Diaz. The Brewers are roaring right now. 3 runs are in on the Broxton homer. We're tied at 4, and the Brinson family loving all of it. A big personality, Lewis Brenson. His family traveling here, like, yeah, did you see that? That was a triple, and I got it right here on my phone. And watch Brenson run. This is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, these long strides. Doesn't look like he's moving very fast, but he's picking up a lot of ground with those long strides. Watch this. A little bit of a long stride to get second base and really didn't lose much of a stride, and boom, triple. He's not fired up.
The 6'5" Lewis Brinson reminds me of Bill Schroeder triple in his first at bat.
Yeah, okay.
In the big leagues. Sort of. So it's Stammen in. Diaz is out. Go ahead, run at third. Infield is in, and Arcia takes a ball down and away.
Yeah, Stammen last pitched on the 12th against the Reds in scoreless inning. That included a strikeout. There you see his numbers: 23 appearances, 425 earned run average, just as many strikeouts as innings pitched. He has given up 8 home runs, quite a few.
Arcia a chance to give the Brewers the lead now. Inside. It took Brinson 14 big league at bats to collect his first triple. How many did it take you?
3.
3.
But I guarantee he's going to hit another one.
When was your last triple?
All right.
That was your first and your last.
I would tell you my triple story.
Hey, this catcher can run a little bit.
Boy. Ball hit me right square in the back. Halfway between second and third, and if it didn't hit me, I would have been out by 20 feet.
You put your body in front of it. You played defense.
I just didn't want to stop. I was so excited, my first hit.
That's a great story. You could have just like kept running, man. Little league home run.
Yeah.
There goes Bill Schroeder. He's so excited.
Right over Billy Sample's head.
In Arlington, right?
Yeah.
Against the Rangers.
Yeah.
Well, Brinson came to the Brewers from the Rangers, so that's how you tie it all up. 2-1 to Arcia. It's in the dirt. By the way, there's an anniversary today. 30 years ago on this day, Bill Schroeder went 2 for 4 with an RBI against the Twins. It's just a note that was in the newspaper.
Big deal.
I know.
I mean, why would that be in the paper?
I mean, I'm not saying 2 hits for you is a big deal, but it was.
Must have been a slow day.
Somebody gave me a clipping of this.
Man. That's news.
Stammen against Arcia. Got the pitcher due up next. And Arcia, a little chopper foul. This is when batting in the 8th spot in the order takes on a little different meaning for Orlando Arcia.
Now you can be patient at the plate. Yeah, with 1 out and the pitcher coming up. A little different with 2 outs. You want to be a little bit more aggressive.
No other spot in the batting order do you have to go through that entire process of what the game situation is, except an 8-hitter with a pitcher behind him. 3-2 pitch. Arcia back up the middle. Look at that play by Stammen. Throw to the plate, and Brinson is out. What in the world? Behind the back he goes. A blind stab, and he makes the play and gets the out. That was amazing.
And talk about what's he got, a TV in the other pocket right here. Check this out. Come on. Really? Wow. I mean, that I'd like to say that's very talented, but I think that's very lucky. But a good effort just to throw the glove out there like that. I think it would have been a run had it got by him, the way Brinson got that jump off of third base. And he didn't even crack a smile, Stammen.
As if he's done it before.
Right?
Well, Brinson still all smiles after his first big league triple. Here's Guerra now with Arcia at first. So what do you got on the base running there? That's an automatic go in a spot like that if you're Brinson?
Oh, it's awfully difficult. I mean, you know, we saw Broxton do that in St. Louis and scored a run. I mean, with a play like that, I mean, normally you go on contact, except for back to the pitcher. But I mean, behind the back play.
You're right. He's probably told you either go on contact or make it go through, and those quick decisions you have to make.
I mean, the way he broke off the bag, it was a contact play, basically. He got a great jump, but you know, you can't really account for a play like that.
0-2 to Guerra. And a pop-up shallow into right center. And it's going to be Renfroe to make the catch. But the Brewers are right back in it. Keon Broxton, he launched one yesterday. He launches another today. 425 feet to tie the game. A 3-run bomb. And then Brinson, the #1 prospect, his first major league triple. 4-4 game as we go to the 5th. On Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey, you may never need an umbrella inside Miller Park. Most people wouldn't need an umbrella inside Miller Park, but that doesn't mean a Brewers umbrella wouldn't come in handy for his 20,000 fans at the ballpark. For the Brewers finale with the Padres this Sunday at 1 o'clock. We get a Father's Day golf umbrella courtesy of Palermo's Frozen Pizza. You know that's really bad luck.
No, the roof's open.
Have you ever been told that opening an umbrella inside is bad luck?
We're not inside.
Where are we?
We're outside. We're in a booth with an open roof.
Okay.
It's all good.
You're going to poke somebody's eye out. You know who that somebody's going to be?
I kind of like the umbrella. It's nice. It's got good weight to it. I feel like it could hold up to the wind. Plus, if we keep it right here, now we got the booth just like I wanted. Franchy Cordero leads off. It is a little dangerous, I'll give you that. It's a good umbrella, though, you know.
Nice and big.
Yeah, it's got some density. I'll take this one home.
You got a pretty creative, you know, crew down at the service level to be able to permanently put that up over your head if you'd like.
Walk me out to the car. They're not just for rain, you know.
Keep the sun off you.
Yes. Be perfect for the U.S. Open tomorrow. So maybe we'll send one out there. 2-1 to count on Cordero. A swing and a miss. Key inning here for Guerra. After the Brewers get 3 runs on the 3-run homer by Broxton, Guerra back in this game, all tied. That all-important shutdown inning. 2, 3, and 4 coming up for San Diego. Myers to follow Cordero. 4 runs scored for the Padres the first 5 batters. And that's been it. A lot more splitters from Guerra after that. He has issued 3 walks. He's hit a batter, but he's kept him off the scoreboard. Three balls, 2 strikes. Full count to Cordero. And he laid off. It's a leadoff walk with the Padres' best hitter coming up, Will Myers.
That's that two-seam fastball. Garrett tried to get him to chase on the outside corner and didn't bite. Well, trying everything to get through this game. He's done a really good job last 3 innings to keep the Padres off the board, and knowing that he doesn't have his best stuff tonight. That's sign of a good pitcher.
Well, a dangerous hitter coming up now, Will Myers. 3-run home run in the first inning, his 13th homer of the year. Now 36 RBIs. And he chases one. A breaking ball, pops it up. Does Pena have a play? He's back near the screen, and he's got it.
Right. Nice. Get that guy out in the first pitch curveball. Wow. It's like a Christmas present. He hung a curveball. Will Myers popped it straight up. And Manny Pena just enough room to haul it in right in front of the fence.
One away. And it'll be Yangervis Solarte now. The switch hitting second baseman. 0 for 2 against Guerra tonight. Both outs in the air. Guerra would love a ground ball in a spot like this. See if his Brewers can turn 2. Walks are up for Guerra. It's a short sample size. He's only making a 6th start, but he's averaging 4.5 walks per 9 innings this year. That's about, let's see, a walk and a half more than his number last year. Strikeouts are down about a strikeout per 9. But it is early for him. He missed 6 weeks with the calf strain. Had him out in front, popped him up, foul territory. Thames is over, and he's got it for out number 2. 2 foul pops to get the first 2 men out in this 5th inning.
And both on really big off-speed pitches, and able to get by, a couple of outs after that leadoff walk. You talk about the walks up, strikeouts down for Guerra, but he has been able to grind through his start so far. I mean, including the 4 runs, 3 of them earned in first inning. Earned run average of 3. That's not too bad for a guy that has really not had his best stuff.
He'd only given up 7 earned runs all season in his first 5 starts. He gives up 3 earned runs in the first inning tonight. But the Brewers offense have him right back in it. Two outs, runner at first. Here is Hunter Renfroe. Renfroe's been a big power hitter for the Padres. Has the most home runs by a Padres rookie before the All-Star break in franchise history. He's at 15. That 15th came in the first inning. In the dirt and on the move is Cordero. That'll be a wild pitch. Padres have the go-ahead run at second base.
Still learning to hit at this level. He's got tremendous power. Hit a curveball out in the first inning.
There's that note on Renfroe. The last Padre to hit 14 homers before the All-Star break, Padre rookie, was Nate Colbert, 1969. It's been a long time since they've seen a rookie with this kind of pop. We had a lot of time left until the All-Star break as well. About a month.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. 1-2 the count.
San Diego's played more of a offensive park this year than it has in the past, though. There's a lot more home runs hit there, and offense is up.
Guerra, a chance to strand a runner at second base. He left one at third last inning. And he got him. A strikeout. Junior Guerra strikes out Renfroe to end the inning, works around a leadoff walk. Top of the order's coming up. The Brewers and the Padres are all tied. Fourth inning has this game all tied at 4 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. By the way, you can guarantee your seat for the Bucs' 50th anniversary return to the Mecca game this fall. The 43-game Super Pass. Visit foxsportswisconsin.com/upcoming events. And we want to wish congratulations to John Horst. He has been named the new Bucs general manager. Congratulations to John. And Bucs are going to have an exciting year, you figure, in a playoff run this year. Lost to the Raptors in the first round and ready to hit their stride, perhaps. Maybe the Brewers and the Bucs both hit it together. It'd be fun to have some playoff teams.
Yeah, no kidding.
Brewers have not been to the postseason since 2011. It went from 1982 to 2008 and then 2011. And this team is starting to surprise some folks. Sogard bounces one to first, right at Myers, and the first out of the inning.
And they certainly believe in themselves, and they believed in themselves the first day of spring training. And that's really all that matters. Hey, every great beer deserves a great T-shirt, and all fans in attendance for the Brewers game against the Padres this Monday. Actually, that's the Pirates this Monday, June 19th. We'll get an Eric Thames Revere the Beer T-shirt, courtesy of BP Come On Back Club. Tickets start at just $6 at Brewers.com.
Here's Eric Thames. Yeah, the Pirates in for 4, culminating on Thursday. It's an afternoon game Thursday. Got a day game tomorrow, day game Sunday, and then a matinee next Thursday. It's always fun to throw a few day games in there. Changes it up a little bit. Tomorrow is a 3 o'clock start here at Miller Park. We'll be on the air at 2:30. 2-0 the count. Stammen deals, and a big swing by Thames. Well, what a picture perfect night in Milwaukee tonight. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Roof is open. Called strike. 2-2 on Eric.
Stammen not overpowering. I mean, he locates his fastball pretty well. He's got a really good slider. Every now and again he'll throw a changeup. Fastball, slider primarily.
2-2 pitch. Fouls it away. Thames is among the league leaders in homers, where he is now third with 18. He's fourth in walks, fifth in runs scored. He's got an OPS that's in the top 10. He started play today with an OPS of 989. That's on base percentage added to slugging percentage, which is a nice way to evaluate the success of a hitter.
He's certainly deserving of an all-star appearance. Start voting.
2-2 to Eric. Swing and a drive into right field. That's hit well, and it is over the head of Renfroe. Takes a big bounce off the wall, and it's a stand-up double for Eric Thames, adding to that slugging percentage with an extra base hit.
Looked almost like the pitch he hit out last night against in St. Louis. That big home run. That's a breaking pitch right there, and more of a curveball than a slider. Goes down and gets it and hits a bullet over the head of Renfroe in right. That pitch was down. Watch the way it goes down and gets it, levels the swing, and just out of the reach of Renfroe for a one-out double.
Puts the go-ahead run in scoring position. Thames with double number 13 to go along with his 18 homers. And now Santana, the three-hole hitter, in the dirt. Nicely blocked back there by Hedges.
And I was talking to counsel about a lot of things before the game, and you know, Craig actually brought up Domingo Santana and the importance that he has been in the offense for the Brewers. I mean, really turned himself into a productive hitter, very consistent as of late after a rough month of April.
Well, when a guy like Santana gets off to the bad start like he did, then you draw a line and you try to see where he compares to the rest of the major leagues once he got hot. So pretty good sample size, a little over a month's worth of play since May 15th. He is tied for 10th in the majors in RBIs. He has 22 RBIs since the 15th of May. And a strike to Santana. It's 1-2.
He's been clutch. A lot of his RBIs have come with 2 outs.
Take it back to when he started collecting more hits. April 28th, 327 average, 9 homers, 30 ribbies, OPS of 967, which is very high. He's trying to deliver the go-ahead run here in the 5th inning. 1-2 pitch. Broken bat, bounces on one hop over to Spangenberg, and he makes a play. Well, that bat head went all the way out near shortstop.
Yeah, that pitch a little bit in off the inside corner and jammed himself. Bat blew up. That's all that's left of it. Trying to stay away from the outer half of the plate with Santana. That four-seam fastball in on his hands, and a 5-3 put out.
And the second out, they're going to intentionally walk Shaw. Don't have to throw 4 pitches any longer. So Shaw is on the automatic intentional walk. First and second now for Manny Pena. Pena loves to swing at the first pitch, and you know he'll be ready to gun if Stammen throws one over the plate. Pena singled through the hole in the 4th inning. That was off Diaz, the starter. 2 outs, first and second, tie game, and Pena takes a strike. That one locked him up a little bit. Stammen's already made a great play to prevent the go-ahead run from scoring. You'll be seeing that one all night on the highlight reels. A spinning behind the back grab of a bouncing ball. Pena's been good in spots like this, pushing near a 400 batting average with runners in scoring position. He's got Thames out there right now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pulls it foul, 1-2.
Yeah, Padres playing pretty much straight away. I mean, that's about as straight away as you'll see any hitter play these days. Shoots the ball all over the diamond.
Pena in grind mode now. Brewers runners will be on the move with a crack of the bat with 2 outs, and that's a called strike 3. Well placed fastball, and Pena strands a pair. We are headed to the 6th, all tied at 4. Brewers Padres, game 1.
Couple of weeks left to cast your All-Star Game ballot and help send your hometown stars to Miami for the Midsummer Classic. Go to Brewers.com and vote the maximum number of 35 times for the chance to win a meet and greet with Ryan Braun. All-Star Game, month away. Not even.
Travis Shaw having an all-star worthy season at this point. 4-4 game. We go to the 6th inning. Junior Guerra back to work. Guerra giving up all 4 runs to the first 5 batters he faced. And here he is pitching in the 6th inning now. Spangenberg will lead off for San Diego.
And pitch got in pretty decent shape.
Spangenberg, Hedges, and Cordoba. Think about the 4-run inning for San Diego. They were swinging early in the count, so it didn't take long for the damage to be done, but it's now put Guerra in a pretty good position. Counsell trying to get one more inning out of him here as he hits the bottom of the order. Spangenberg is 0 for 2, both of his outs in the air. And he beats that one into the ground. Thames will flip it to Guerra covering for out number 1. Well, now it's time for the unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. We showed you Travis Shaw a moment ago. Remember, he was traded for Tyler Thornburg, and bad news for Thornburg and the Red Sox. He is going to have the thoracic outlet surgery where they remove a rib. It alleviates pressure in the shoulder. And he's done for the year. Buster Posey injured his ankle last night. He hit a home run on the swing. Not on the DL. He is available tonight, but that's news to watch for the struggling Giants, who erased a 9-1 deficit in Colorado last night and then lost in a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, how about that?
They were down 9-1 in the 7th.
No kidding.
Came back to tie it, and then the Rockies scored in the bottom of the 9th to win.
There have been a lot of big leads vaporized this year. Crazy, isn't it? Bullpens.
There's a pop-up. Out in front of it, Hedges. Arcia drifting back, and he'll make the catch for out number 2.
Hey, don't fight Arcia for pop-ups. He wants everything. He actually caught a pop-up, was it St. Louis, in foul territory along first base.
That's right.
Well, he was playing over on the shift, but it sounds better when you don't add that.
He's so good. A shortstop caught a foul pop-up next to first base. That's a true story. He did start on the other side of the diamond, but either way. It all depends on where you put the period.
Yeah.
First ball swinging, Cordoba.
We don't want to exaggerate up here, do we?
I mean, we'll give the truth eventually. Just sometimes we want people to go, what did you just say?
Really? Did he really say that? I was watching that game. That didn't happen.
It's 2. It's 2. 0-2 to Cordoba.
A good two-seam fastball right there.
So what has Guerra found here after the first inning? He's been toying with a lot of different pitches.
He's throwing a lot of curveballs, and he's gotten some outs. I mean, a lot of those pop-ups have come on that curveball. He's had a lot of pop-up outs in the infield. He's thrown a few more better splitters.
Out in front of that one, Cordoba. Little pop-up, and Broxton will make the call and the catch. A 3-up, 3-down inning. Guerra is rolling now. He's got 5 scoreless after his 4-run first. Courtesy of a Keon Broxton 3-run homer in the 4th inning. A 2-strike 3-run home run at that. And Keon ready to lead off here in the 6th. And Broxton putting some distance together with his last 2 home runs. This one last night goes 489 feet, second longest of the year in the majors. Aaron Judge of the Yankees has the longest, and this one just a ho-hum 425. A 3-run blast to tie it up.
Yeah, we were talking about, you know, the 2-strike approach for Broxton. It's not so much he changes his swing, but location of pitch. That fastball up is a very difficult one for him to get to. And the one that gets down, those are the ones he sends into the far reaches.
Broxton at the plate, presented by Wendy's. Game tying 3-run homer. Flip the game quickly. 914 feet of home runs for Broxton, who, by the way, is putting together a nice little run of homers. As you see the numbers for Phil Matten.
He got called up on Sunday. And made his major league debut. Called up from AAA El Paso. 23 games down in the minor leagues. 284 earned run average. Another kid getting an opportunity in the major league level with the Padres.
Broxton in a 1-1 count. He's homered 4 times in his last 6 games. And a wave and a miss. Good breaking ball.
Yeah, good slider. He was a closer down in the minor leagues. 13 for 13. It's an interesting delivery, is it not?
Holds that glove high from the stretch.
Well, watch him. He starts his foot like he's going to start in a windup, his leg, and then he brings it back and stops again.
Working from the extreme first base side of the rubber. As long as you do it every time, it's good. And it's a swing and a miss. He went with a high fastball. Broxton strikes out. Brinson coming up. And Lewis in our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. His first game at Miller Park. He made his big league debut Sunday in Arizona. Has 1 hit on the season until this one. Drives one into the gap. First major league triple. Flying around the bases, Brinson was.
Long strides, able to get in there safely, and he's fired up at third base.
Brinson with 2 hits now. And you figure as long as Braun is on the disabled list, Brinson will get his chance. And for any player who is here because of injury, you know the clock's ticking and you're trying to do enough to make the organization figure out another player to send down. Not you.
Right.
This guy's got a lot of promise. He was the big piece, the signature piece in the trade for Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy and Jeffress going to the Rangers, and the Brewers got Brinson, Louis Ortiz, who's a pitcher in Double-A, actually on the disabled list right now in Double-A, and then Ryan Cordell, who's tearing it up in Colorado Springs, another outfielder. Cordell can even play a little first base.
Yeah, when you're the #1 prospect, and that's what Brinson is, I mean, the only way you're staying in the big leagues is you're going to get a lot of playing time. You don't bring him up here to sit. I'm not talking about every day, but when Braun comes back, that's going to be a trick. Try and get him enough playing time to warrant his staying in the big leagues. You'd rather have him down in the minor leagues playing every day.
First time he's put on the home whites. He is a good-looking player. We saw a lot of him this spring, and he held his own well, and he lines that one into left field. That is right at Perella. Hit it sharply. Nothing to show for it. And 2 outs in the inning.
Quick hands on that inside corner. Just didn't get all of it. Got it down on the trademark just a little bit. His triple came on a fastball in. A cut fastball just a little bit down on the trademark, and he hit it hard, but right at the left fielder.
2 up, 2 down for Madden, and it's Orlando Arcia now. Oh, wave and a miss. Had him fooled on a breaking ball. '22-year-old Arcia against a 24-year-old Madden. Madden went the college route, whereas Arcia was signed as a 16-year-old. Madden went to Louisiana Tech. Padres drafted him in 2015. 2 years later, he's in the big leagues for the first time. He blew right through their system. That ball's in the air left center. Hit pretty well. Perella will run it down. They had him well positioned. 2 hard hit balls, but a 3 up, 3 down inning for Madden. To the 7th we go, all tied up. Hoping to come back out, but that in fact is the night for Guerra. Council's going to make the move here, and that's a good night's work after that first inning. He gave up 4 runs in the first. 3 of those were earned, and then Rocky started to settle in and got his command back, his split finger fastball back, and he ends up going 6.
I'll tell you, threw a lot of curveballs, and he got a lot of outs, pop-ups with curveball tonight, something we don't see a lot of from Junior Guerra. And I think he made the adjustment with the split finger fastball. It really wasn't diving as it got to home plate like the last out, last inning. Looked more like a changeup. So using that splitter not so much as that wipeout strikeout pitch, but more getting a guy out in front, getting the pop-up. So nice adjustment for Junior. Ends up being a quality start for him. 3 earned runs in 6 innings of work.
Oliver Drake is on the pitch for the Brewers. He notched his first career save in last night's game. He had been a closer in the minor leagues, but got his first chance in the big leagues last night. It was in a tense moment. He retired the side in order. Oliver Drake, what a story that was. He got the ball, and a little celebration after the game for him.
Yeah, he did. They were fired up last night, the team was, and why wouldn't you be? It was a nice series win. Struck out a couple of batters in the 9th and got Matt Carpenter on a pop-up.
Go from one split finger fastball pitcher to another. Matt Caesar pinch hitting for San Diego. It's in the pitcher spot. Phil Madden works a scoreless inning for San Diego. Caesar takes a ball high.
How about Guerra giving up 2 hits, both homers, first inning?
Still wasn't on his A game, but he has enough to
he grinded
get through it.
Didn't he?
That's what you like to see.
Yeah, that's a gamer. Figuring out ways to get outs. That's what you like about this team. Guys figuring out ways to win. So far they've been able to do that. Having fun doing it.
Drake facing Caesar, the pinch hitter. Started the year with the Cubs. Traded to San Diego for a minor league player, and Drake strikes him out. He was using that fastball last night, almost pitching backwards to his trend, and he was able to pick up some big outs with that fastball last night.
Well, with the scouting report so far in National League, what do you look for against Drake? I mean, he's going to throw you a splitter, right? I think the Cardinals were surprised. And Caesar, he gets that fastball by him, up and away.
So Drake with 1 out, top of the order now. Jose Perella. Perella is 0 for 3. Hit a fly ball to center field in the first inning. Broxton misjudged it. That was the first play of the game, and that was the unearned run on Guerra's line. That one skips by. Let's bring in Jerry Augustine now. He's down there on the field giving a field view for us, talking pitching. And first, Augie, what'd you see from Guerra as he got through that first inning?
It seemed like when he got to the fourth inning, and Rock said it right, he found a pitch that he could throw consistently for strikes, and that was that good breaking ball. And he was able to get it over for strikes and put it in good locations. And I really think that was the difference in the ball game for him tonight.
Something about a guy that will, even when you're struggling to start a game like that, that will battle his way through. And Augie, you know Guerra's story as well as anyone. I mean, this is a guy who's pitched everywhere, and I mean everywhere. He's pitched in Spain, in Italy, Venezuela Winter League, all through the minor leagues, and there's a lot of grind in his game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, if you define him in one word, you got to say survivor, because he'll go out on the mound, and he may not, like today, he didn't have his good stuff. He couldn't find his split finger early in the game, couldn't command a fastball. 2 home runs were fastballs he got up over the middle of the plate. But he finds a way to keep the team in the ball game, and those are special kind of pitchers you don't see all the time. And he's a guy that goes out there, he'll find a way, he'll keep you in the ball game, and he'll find a pitch that he can take through the game and help him out. And like Brock said tonight, that breaking ball was very good.
Yeah, he started, you know, he's hanging some early in the game, but then he found it. He found a good release point on it. And, you know, when you talk about a guy that, you know, can get through a game without his great stuff, you're talking about a veteran guy more normally. I mean, Junior Guerra hadn't been pitching that long.
Right.
He's still trying to figure himself out.
Yeah, he didn't convert to the mound. He never pitched until he converted as a professional player. He was a catcher in the Braves organization, did not convert until 06. And then he's basically been a reliever. He hasn't had a whole lot of innings in his life. That's a rollover grounder by Cordero. Coming in, Sogard flips it to first. And a good inning for Drake. He's got it rolling a little bit now. 3 up, 3 down. Padres go in order. Stretch time at Miller Park. We are tied. Hit a 3-run home run to tie it in the 4th inning. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Hey, you can join the Brewers Community Foundation in their season-long effort to make a difference in our community by purchasing a 50-50 raffle ticket at every home game. Proceeds support nonprofit organizations in the areas of health, education, recreation, and basic needs. And one lucky fan takes home half of the game day ticket sales. Beautiful Miller Park on a Friday night. Roof is open. New pitcher is Brad Hand, former Brewer.
Hey, we saw him work in San Diego. Has got good stuff.
And it is Hernan Perez pinch hitting, wasting no time. I had a lot of really good things to say about Perez too, but he's out. We'll have to save it for another day.
Yeah. Hand last pitch a couple of days ago against the Reds. Scoreless inning. Limiting opposing hitters to a .203 opponent batting average. These guys have been pretty good.
Hand facing Sogard. Got back-to-back lefties now. Sogard 0 for 3 tonight. Little half swing. Did he go? He did not. Able to check a swing. I said handed. Played in the Brewers system. That was incorrect. That was Donovan Hand I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Not Brad Hand.
Right-hander.
Brad Hand was with the Marlins. That's where we saw him. Now in his second year with San Diego. Big curveball is in there for a strike. Last year, Hand led the majors in games pitched. 82 games last year he pitched. 89 innings in 82 games.
Right. Workhorse.
1-2 count. Sogard dumps one into left center field, a base hit. Just laid his bat on it. And a little soft serve into left center for a knock. One out base runner.
Yeah, Sogard came in against lefties at 348. That'll go up. Hey, tonight's time of the game winner, Simonette's Bar in Green Bay. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Say hello to all our friends at Simonette's in Green Bay. Got a big concert up there tomorrow. Billy Joel's playing in Green Bay tomorrow. Here's Eric Dames. And that one's inside. It's a great weekend to be alive in the state of Wisconsin, isn't it?
You know everything that's going on around
I'm
here.
just dialed into the current events.
You act like you don't care, but you know everything that's going on.
What do you mean?
Golf, concerts.
I care about all those things.
Doing Q&A tonight, or tomorrow, I should say. Wow. Busy man.
I'm on fire. Did you know the Antiques Roadshow is in Green Bay as well, Rock? That's a big event.
You know, I did hear something about that in Arizona.
Oh, is that right?
Our stage director, her husband is the audio guy for the road show.
Ah, what a connection you just made.
See? So she told me that.
Just bringing it all together. It's like Paul Harvey. Dames fouls it away. So the stage manager's husband is the audio man for the Antiques Roadshow. And
right. Yeah.
That's how you knew they're going to be in Green Bay.
Yeah, she said, were you interested in going? I said, I think I'll be busy. But thank you.
That's a polite no. Two and one. Hand against Thames. Runner at first. Brewers trying to break this tie. And Thames goes. Got him on the swing. It's one and check it 2-2 now. Eric broke a 4-4 tie last night in the ninth off Sonwan Oh. 2-run home run that gave the Brewers the win. Took 3 out of 4 in St. Louis. By the way, it came on a 2-strike pitch. Hand's got him 2-2. Dames, another little soft fly ball. That's going to bounce. So Sogard and Thames, very similar base hits. 2 on with 1 out in the 7th inning.
Yeah, both lefties able to reach against Brad Hand. This is a breaking ball. Down the middle, it was down a little bit, but over the middle of the plate, the slider, he didn't get it away far enough, and Thames doing a good job staying right on it and dumping it into center field. But now the right-hander's coming up. Santana followed by another lefty.
Domingo Santana will step in there with 2 on, 1 away. Santana's walked tonight, 0 for 2 otherwise. He's up there in a big spot. Brewers got a 3-run homer in the 4th from Broxton to tie it. Santana with big power as well. And he hits one hard to short. Got a chance to beat 2. And it is 2. And the inning is over. He barreled it up, but he hit it right at the shortstop. Still tied at 4 as we go to the 8th inning. Getting loose. We remind you that Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive, character-building sports experience. You can visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. And Jacob Barnes, who was down last night, not available to Craig Counsell, he is now in a tie game.
Man, he's worked a lot. 36th appearance for Barnes. 413 earned run average. Last pitched on Wednesday against the Cardinals. Gave up a couple of runs in 2/3 of an inning. Remember that Ledmus Diaz home run right before the second rain delay. On here in the 8th in a tie game.
Now the big bat of the Padres will lead off. Will Myers will start it. 3-run homer in the 1st. Banged it off the scoreboard. And the Padres were out of the gates fast tonight. Myers has bounced around quite a bit. Started with the Royals, was a can't miss prospect with them. Got traded to the Rays and ended up in San Diego, and that's where he has settled in and become the face of that franchise. He won the Rookie of the Year in 2013 with the Rays and was an all-star for the first time last year. He put up big numbers in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. 28 home runs at 94 RBIs. Got 28 stolen bases as well last year. That's a big cut and a miss.
That's a good pitch right there for Barnes. That cutter.
This is a great matchup here. 2 young explosive players. Power pitcher, power hitter. One and 2 the count. Got him. Barnes strikes out Myers. 1 gone in the 8th.
They got him with the fastball. That one registered at 99 miles an hour. Check it out. Off the outside corner. And staying away from Myers. Didn't want to challenge him inside. Fastball, cutter. Fastball to get him. That cutter at 93 miles an hour.
Who throws a cutter at 93? Not many. I can't think of one offhand.
Yeah, not many. You're right.
That is big velocity for a pitch that moves like that. And that's it right there.
You see the way it comes out of the hand and got the spin on it. Doesn't break like a slider, just enough to get it off the bat.
Another one down and in. Same pitch, and he has Solarte 0-2. Barnes will tell you he does manipulate the cutter and the slider differently, and he'll throw both, which is interesting. Not many do. Slider's more of a spin with the wrist. That one just powers its way in on the hands of Solarte.
You can tell the difference in the pitches by the velocity. I mean, they're going to do essentially very similar things when they get to home plate. The slide will go down a little bit more. It'll be more of a bigger break, but probably 89, 80, 90 miles an hour. The cutter anywhere between 89 and 93.
So that looked like a slider at 91. Just a bigger break.
Man, just hard to tell sometimes.
What an arm he has. Late bloomer for the Brewers in their minor league system. Big time football player in high school in Florida and had a chance to go play college football. Played baseball at Florida Gulf Coast University. Once he figured it all out, it was a quick rise to the big leagues. Now he's a setup man, and he looks like a future closer. The last pitch Barnes threw before this outing was a 2-run home run by Aledmus Diaz in St. Louis. That was in a driving rainstorm, and he hung one of those sliders. Diaz hit it out, and then they put the tarp down. I'm sure getting that strikeout coming back after not pitching yesterday was good for his psyche. Solarte in a 2-2 count, and he sends it high and deep right field. This is going to break the tie. Solarte homers, and it's 5-4 San Diego.
That breaking ball from Jacob, and didn't get it where he wanted. Left it up a little bit and knocked it out of here. Check it out. Here's a spin. Didn't do much. Middle in, and Solarte able to get the barrel of the bat on it, knock it out of here. 5-4 lead. All 3 hits for the Padres tonight. Home run.
Will Myers, Hunter Renfroe, and now Solarte, who hits his 7th. So 1 out for Renfroe now. Renfroe hit his 15th of the year in the first inning. Padres have taken the lead here in the 8th. Looking ahead to the Brewer bottom of the 8th. It'll be Shaw, Pena, and Broxton. Last inning, the Brewers had 2 on with 1 out. Santana hit the ball hard, but right at the shortstop turned into an inning-ending double play. And then the Padres come back to bite. Jacob Barnes in this 8th inning. Yangervis Solarte, the switch hitter, his first hit of the night.
Been an amazing offensive night for San Diego.
Big swing and a miss. 3-2 the count on Renfroe now.
Never seen this before. 3 hits.
Just 3 hits, all homers, representing 5 runs. 4 of the 5 are earned runs. There was an error in there that allowed 1 of the base runners, but all or nothing.
Yeah.
The new breed of player. Swing hard even with 2 strikes. Take that launch angle.
Swing hard in case you hit it.
It's a lot of strikeouts around baseball these days, but home runs are way up as well. Full count. The game for so long used to be about anything but max effort. You know, it used to be a cruising speed game with your swing, with your pitching, and then there were times you'd let it out, right? But now, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, we're seeing some majestic home runs, and we're seeing velocity from pitchers that we've never seen in these kind of numbers. But it's all max.
Yeah, it used to be, you know, 2 strikes you shorten up. You know, the old adage was the first 2 swings were for me, and the last swing is for the team. What they mean by that, you know, let her fly first 2 strikes, but then when you get 2 strikes on you, shorten up, just try to put the ball in play. You don't see a lot of that these days.
At least in the regular season. The one trend that I've noticed in the playoffs is that the game does get a little bit back more to that style of play. There's a top spin roller is going to bounce through a base hit. So Renfroe singles, and back-to-back hits for Barnes, who's going through a little trouble here in his last couple of outings.
Oh, they're pretty good at bat from Renfroe. I mean, he fought off a couple of pitches. He had some pitches to hit. Barnes got a lot of the play with some of his pitches. That last fastball, he's able to center on and get it into center field. The first non-home run hit for San Diego.
It's going to bring a visit from the pitching coach, Derek Johnson. I think you get into the postseason, Rock, and you do see a little more shortening up, contact hitting.
Well, you're seeing better pitching, right?
Sure.
I mean, you're not going to, you know, hit tons of home runs off of teams that are in the postseason because typically those are the teams with the best pitching staff
and great bullpens normally. And so, yeah, you're right about that. So then it's more
put the ball in play against these guys.
More inclined to manufacture, try to manufacture. I thought that was, you know, one of the reasons the Indians made such a great run, because they had that kind of team. They did. I mean, they hit their home runs, but they could move runners and a lot of team speed. A team that is actually built more like a National League team than most American League teams typically are. So a visit by Derek Johnson, and here is Corey Spangenberg now. Saw Willie Peralta up in the bullpen. Brewers down 5-4 on a Solarte homer. Spangenberg is 0 for 3 tonight. One out, 8th inning. Two and one the count on the Padre third baseman tonight.
Just not getting that low strike tonight. Paul Emma very stingy on that pitch at the knees.
Yeah, look at those two that were called balls. Barnes now 27, made his big league debut at the age of 26 last year. As I mentioned, a bit of a late bloomer, but he was impressive last year when he came to the big leagues. He finished the season with an ERA at 2.7. Normally earned run average doesn't mean so much with a reliever, but most of those innings were clean innings or full innings that he started. He did occasionally come in with inherited runners, but That's a true ERA for the most part. There's a strike. 3-2 the count.
Yeah, Barnes has come into games this year with only 8 inherited runners, and he's only allowed 3 to score. So that's not many.
Normally starting the 8th inning on a typical night. But his walks are up this year. He's doubled his walk total, as a matter of fact. That's a little half swing, and he goes. Pena jumps on it quickly. And a strikeout for Barnes for the 2nd out. Renfroe wisely stopped at first base for a moment there. He looked like he was going to try to take a base, which would have certainly led to a double play to end the inning.
Well, just missed it, but got the strike on the swing, I think. And Manny able to get it before Renfroe able to get to second base.
So 2 Ks, 2 outs. Austin Hedges now. Another big cut. One of the challenges the Brewers have with their late inning relievers, because they've been in so many close games, is the fact they pitched in so many of those games. And Barnes leads the majors in games pitched. This is his 36th of the season. In the air, left field, hooking. Foul ball for Hedges.
Yeah, over half the games, 36 appearances in game number 69 for the Brewers. Torres has pitched a lot, so has Knebel.
Knebel has pitched in 34 games, which is 1 off the major league lead, with an inning and a third on Wednesday night to notch his 10th save. Might not see him in this game either. He did have last night off, but Council's been giving him 2 nights off when possible after he goes multiple innings, so we'll see.
Brewers take the lead, you're going to see him.
Yeah. 0-2 pitch is down and out.
Try keeping him out of there.
Now he's checking the book. The lineup that's coming up, scouting reports on the players, or he's reading the comics. Fly ball to right. That'll stay playable for Santana. And the inning is over, but a home run by Yangervis Solarte gives the Padres the lead. It's 5-4 San Diego. Go to the bottom of the 8th now.
Miller Lite, the original light beer. Brewers got to go to Hacken here in the bottom of the 8th inning. We've got Brewers Live presented by Ascension, our post-game report. We'll talk about Keon Broxton's hot bat. Junior Guerra settles in after a rough first inning. And we'll hear from Craig Counsell all coming up after the ball game. Plenty more. Davey and I will have the show. BA, looking forward to it.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig. Hand is back out there. Travis Shaw at the plate. There is a right-hander ready in the bullpen, so Andy Green wants the matchup. The first two lefties that Hand faced both recorded hits, Sogard and Thames. One thing about the Brewer left-handed batters, they do handle left-handed pitching well.
Yeah.
And Shaw is no exception. 5-4 game. Padres lead.
This might be the only batter that Hand faces in this inning. There's activity in the bullpen for San Diego. Right-handers up.
Kirby Yates is loosening in the bullpen. Shaw hit a long home run off the scoreboard in the second inning. It was the first run for the Brewers. And then a 3-run home run by Keon Broxton in the fourth. All of the runs in this game produced by the long ball. Shaw had a big swing at one, and he's down on strikes. Slow breaking ball from Hand. And that's going to do it for him. His manager's on his way. First out of the 8th, and Andy Green is going to make the call to his right-hander. With some right-handers coming up. That's good work by Hand. Got the double play last inning. And he'll exit an inning and a third scoreless. Pitching change at Miller Park.
And on Sunday, June 18th, fans can bring new or gently used tools to the ballpark. You get a free ticket to the Cruise matchup with the Cardinals on August 30th. Courtesy of Associated Bank. For more information, visit brewers.com/tools.
Kirby Yates is on the pitch for San Diego. We are in the 8th inning with one away. And Manny Pena is going to bat for the Brewers, then Broxton to follow. See the numbers on Yates.
Yep, good numbers. 21st appearance, 3.00 earned run average for Yates. Pitched 4 days ago against Cincinnati, a scoreless inning that included a couple of strikeouts. Has been very tough on right-handed hitters. Opponent batting average against righties, 196.
Manny Pena at the plate. And the first pitch up and in. Padres led 4-0. Brewers tied it in the 4th. San Diego just went ahead in the 8th. And now Pena sends one to left. That ball's got a chance. It is up and it is gone. A game-tying home run from Pena. And the trend continues. All 10 runs on the home run ball. And we're deadlocked once again as Manny Pena belts his 3rd of the year.
And he got one down out over the plate. Looked like a breaking ball, and being able to hook it on out of here. Boy, that guy might have been a nice surprise. There's a slider. Out away from, a little bit out in front, but keeps the bat in the hitting zone a long time and drives it out of here. All tied. These guys just won't give up.
And now here is Keon Broxton.
Oh, and by the way, who's up in the bullpen?
Broxton takes a strike. Wondering if Corey Knebel is available. The answer is yes.
As soon as they tied it up, he just jumped up and started to get loose.
Can't remember a game like this where all of the runs this late in the game have been courtesy of the home run ball. Now we've seen, you know, 2-1 games or 3-0 games where there's been the one home run, but the multiple home runs. The Brewers have hit 3. Shaw, Broxton, and now Pena. The Padres have hit 3 homers. Myers, Renfroe, and Solarte.
And both teams with a 3-run homer, right?
Broxton's 3-run shot in the 4th tied it up after the Brewers spotted San Diego 4 in the 1st. Keon's hit 4 in his last 6 games. Matches his total from the prior 33 games. He is a streaky hitter, and he is in a good streak right now, as Craig Kashawn mentioned. And you know he's seeing it well at the plate when he takes pitches like that. That's normally a swing and a miss when he's going bad, but he's seeing it well.
And it's that high strike that's been kryptonite for him.
And that's exactly what Hedges wants, a high fastball.
Yep, that high fastball has been rough on him.
And he got him. Well placed. Broxton's out. 2 gone in the inning. Couple of strikeouts. And here comes Brenson now. Updating the Powerball home run leaderboard. Eric Thames setting the pace for the Brewers with 18. He's one off the National League lead. Shaw hit number 12 tonight off the scoreboard in center. We have already seen Hernan Perez. He had a pinch hit appearance, 1 pitch, and he grounded out. Brewers bench is down to 3. And the rookie Brenson at the plate. Brenson's a guy with plenty of thunder in his bat. Had 6 home runs in AAA before the promotion to the majors. He hit 23 home runs 2 years ago in the Rangers minor league system. That's a lot of home runs. He played in just 124 games to hit 23 homers.
Yeah, give him some time, you know, some experience up here, and he will be a home run hitter. Got a chance to provide a lot of power for this ball club. Just raw ability. Lewis Brinson.
At his first big league triple in the 4th. Yates has got him down 0-2. And he strikes him out. Struck out the side, but a big home run by Manny Pena. A little pina colada at Miller Park to tie the game at 5. 3rd of the year. We go to the 9th. This game at 5 with a home run. And here we go to the 9th inning, and the Brewers will put their closer on the mound. Craig Counsell has Corey Knebel trying to get this one to the bottom of the 9th. All-star worthy. I'd put Knebel on that list. Doesn't have the volume of saves. Didn't enter that closer's role until mid-May, but Rock, everything else is stellar, including the strikeouts.
On the consecutive games with a strikeout. I mean, he's still got that thing going, and Knebel's been solid. Coming in a tie game in the 9th inning, 34 consecutive games with at least one strikeout.
This is who he's chasing to start a year exclusively as a reliever. Aroldis Chapman has the record in the modern era of 37 consecutive games. That was back in 2014. Chapman as a member of the Reds, and Knebel is 3 innings away with a strikeout, and he'll have Alan Cordova to start it.
Last time out against St. Louis a couple of days ago, it took him 4 outs to get that strikeout. Final out of the game was a punch out of Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, the last 2 outings for Knebel, it has been the final hitter that he has struck out. There's a strike. His command has been impeccable, and at 98 to 100 miles an hour. And then he has that devastating curveball. When he's got it all going, it's about as dominating as there is. There's the curveball, and you see the knees buckle of Cordova.
Because, you know, hitters go up there, they're expecting 98, 99 miles an hour. You drop that curveball, good luck. Throws that for strikes.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him right by him. 99-mile-an-hour fastball. And the streak continues. 35 consecutive games with at least 1 strikeout. He is 2 games away, and this was no chance.
Yeah, curveball, then high fastball to get him. That's a great combination. That curveball slows the bat down, then the big fastball, tough to catch up.
So the Padres are in the 9th spot in their order, pitcher spot, and it's going to be Eric Ibar, one of the few veteran players that the Padres have on their team. A pinch hit appearance, 5-5 game, top of the 9th. Ibar fouls it away. From Georgetown, Texas, Corey Knebel. Pitched at the University of Texas, a Longhorn. Taylor Youngman was the headliner at the University of Texas. And Youngman was a first-round draft pick by the Brewers. Knebel kind of slipped under the radar a little bit. He was with the Tigers originally, then traded to the Rangers. Rangers flipped him to the Brewers before Knebel had even made an appearance with Texas. And he is thriving in a closer's role.
And he's been very durable. A lot of appearances. Continues to throw hard. He's had good command of that curveball. That's the key. Without that, he's not going to be putting up those kind of numbers.
1 ball, 2 strikes. A little rollover ground ball foul. Knebel was shut down yesterday after an inning and a third against the Cardinals on Wednesday. Twice on the road trip he went an inning and a third to notch a save. It's 5 times he's gone an inning plus this year. Fly ball into center field. That'll hang up. Broxton is there. No, it's going to be Brinson for out number 2.
Let's check out Miller Lite What's on Tap. We got 2 more against the Padres. We got a 3 o'clock start tomorrow on a Saturday. It's going to be Chase Anderson, who's thrown the baseball extremely well. 5-2, 283 earned run average. And we will be on the air tomorrow at 2:30.
Day game tomorrow, day game Sunday. There's Chase Anderson. He's done some of his best work in his home ballpark. 2 gone in the inning. Top of the order. Here is Jose Perella. Perella's 0 for 4, hitting leadoff for San Diego. Perella had some time with the Yankees a few years back. Second season with San Diego. 2-0 the count. And a big swing and a miss. Big fastball, big swing.
Not a good combination for the hitter. Especially fastball up.
Perella hit a bunch of home runs in the minor leagues earlier this year for the Padres in AAA. 2-1. High for a ball. What's impressive about Knebel, he's had some gut-punching blown saves, a couple of long home runs in the 9th inning, but he's bounced back quickly on both occasions. And that's always the real test for a guy who's closing for the first time in the majors. How fast can he bounce back and succeed? How short is the memory? And you love the fact that even after those blown saves, Knebel was the first guy, and that's kind of the closer's creed. You're the one who steps up, speaks to the media after the game.
Yeah.
Own it. Full count. 2 outs. And a curveball misses. It's a 2-out walk.
That's how much confidence he has in that pitch. He just didn't get the break on it. Had he been able to throw that one for a strike, you knew Perella wasn't going to swing at it. He was fooled.
It's going to bring up a left-handed hitter now, and Franchy Cordero. Rookie center fielder for the Padres at the plate, and he's trying to dial it up, and Knebel sticks a 98-mile-an-hour fastball by him.
Yeah, Perella has not tried a stolen base yet.
Oh, and 2 the count. Behind the fastball, way ahead of the curveball, which acts as a change of pace for Knebel. And now you make a good pitch and can get this one to the bottom of the 9th. No balls, 2 strikes. Up and in, almost hit him. Yikes.
He was thinking about letting that one get a piece of him, but in 96, I don't think so. Instincts take over.
Fight or flight.
Get out of the way. Just missed him.
Ooh, that almost clipped the sleeve, which would have brought Myers to the plate and the go-ahead run at second. Fortunate for Knebel. Let's see what he has in mind here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he got him. No, in and out of the glove of Pena. It was a foul tip. That's not a skill play for a catcher. It's either in the mitt or not. And Cordero will see another pitch.
And just able to get a piece of it and just rattles around that glove. Couldn't squeeze it.
He'll fire it up again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner goes. Throw down to second on the mark. The tag. And the ball pops out of the glove of Arcia. It would have ended the inning. You could see by the reaction of the second base umpire, he was ready to ring him up.
Yep.
And the normally sure-handed Arcia has one pop out of his glove, and to third base goes Perella.
It could be a stolen base. It could be an error on Orlando Arcia. Check it out. A good throw by Pena once again. A good pitch to throw on. This one right on the money. Yeah, that's an out if he holds on to it. That might be an error. He's getting ready to ring him up, wasn't he?
2-2 pitch and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Corey Knebel with another K. 2 punch-outs in the 9th. Brewers coming up, all tied. Arcia will get us started. Got a good one tonight at Miller Park. Brewers baseball tonight on Fox Sports Wisconsin, brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Well, it's been a good game. All the runs have come via the home run ball. Padres have hit 3. Brewers have hit 3. Keon Broxton tied the game with a 3-run homer in the 4th, and then Manny Pena tied it with a solo shot in the 8th. So here we go. Bottom 9. Arcia leads off. Ryan Buchter on the mound for San Diego.
Yeah, 4th reliever used by the Padres. Good numbers for Buchter. One of the second of 3 left-handers they have down in that bullpen. And Buchter last pitched on the 12th against the Reds.
Jesus Aguilar is due to hit next. Orlando Arcia 1 out of 3 tonight. Had a single his first time up. Single to left. And he took a big rip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the way this game's going, it figures it would end on a home run. All of the other runs have scored via the long ball. The Brewers do not have a player active who has ever had a walk-off homer in the big leagues, if you're wondering. Ryan Braun's the only player that does have a walk-off homer. He has 3 of them, but he's on the disabled list. He won't be doing the Brewers much good here tonight. Brewers haven't not had a walk-off homer since Martin Maldonado hit one in 2015. 1-2 the count, and Arcia takes a ball. 2-2.
That was in what, 16th inning?
17th inning. He caught all 17.
Yeah.
And won the game with a homer to center field. And we all got to go home. Maldonado now with the Angels.
I believe we all went home and went off to St. Louis.
That's right. We all went on an airplane. Uh-oh, that's high in the air. Arcia taking a hack at one of his eyes, and the first out of the inning.
How do we remember this stuff? Honestly. Can't remember to take the garbage out. We remember that after that game we flew to St. Louis.
We were just anxious to get there and get some ribs. So Arcia is out, and here comes Aguilar. But I know I sit up here and you talk about, try to give context to the walk-off numbers, especially walk-off home runs, those dramatic moments. But what you don't want to have happen is the players thinking that way as well, and it usually happens. You get swings like Arcia just had, going a little bit out of his strike zone and his norm. He's not a home run hitter, but he was trying to do some damage right there.
Either swing and miss or pop up, one of the two. Every hitter knows it. We've been talking about it all season. You know, you try and hit the ball out of the ballpark. Very rarely ever happens.
Aguilar lines one to third, caught by Spangenberg. Tough break. That would have been extra bases for Jesus Aguilar. A line drive out for the second out of the inning.
Well, he can't hit it much better than that. Fastball in, he centers on it, and unfortunately got Spangenberg guarding the line. Didn't barely have to move.
2 up, 2 down. Top of the order now, and the lefty's coming up. Sogard with 2 away. If he can reach, Thames would bat. Sogard got jammed a little bit. Fly ball to right, and it's going to be run down by Renfroe, and that is a 1-2-3 Brewers ninth. We got extra innings tonight. 5-5 game. Padres coming up. We go to the 10th. Padres coming up, tied at 5, and if you're just joining us, you've had a big Friday night out. It's been all about the home run ball tonight. Will Myers off the scoreboard, a 3-run shot. This is all in the first inning. Hunter Renfroe then went deep, and a 4-run first. Then the Brewers got a home run from Shaw in the second, also hit the scoreboard. Broxton had the big swing, 3-run game-tying homer in the fourth. San Diego got a home run from Yangervis Solarte to put them back ahead. And then, wouldn't you know it, Manny Pena ties the game with 1 out in the 8th with a home run. It's home run derby here at Miller Park. It's a home run or nothing, as they used to say. And so here we go to the 10th with Will Myers at the plate and the ground ball specialist Jared Hughes on the mound.
Yeah, he's been throwing the baseball well, been throwing a lot of too, along with everybody else. 29 appearances, a 4 earned run average for Jared Hughes. Last pitched Wednesday against the Cardinals and had a 3 up 3 down inning, including a couple of strikeouts.
Well, it's a scary matchup here with Will Myers, who is a low ball power hitter. In his 13th of the year, it was a no-doubter off the center field scoreboard as Hughes misses, and now he's behind 2-0. Hughes is going to have to do the heavy lifting in this 10th. He's got Myers, Solarte, and Renfroe. Middle of this Padres order, the best power hitters they have coming up. And a ground ball backing up on it. Shaw got to get rid of it quickly, and he does. Out number 1. Did you see Arcia right there?
Yeah.
He faked a throw. It was almost like synchronized throwing as Shaw let the ball go.
He just has a good time out there. He didn't realize he's in the big leagues, and this is.
I know it.
He's just having a good time, like on a sandlot. Check him out.
Look at this.
Yep, I pretend I have it. Just work on my throwing. I just love it, though. I love watching him. Every play that is out there, every play, no matter where he is, or if he's involved, he's doing something. And he's usually the last guy in that little that row that they have in the that gauntlet that they got to go through.
The home run celebration.
And does the big scream in their face.
That's him. That's his job.
Most of the time. Unless he's coming up.
Young hammers Solarte now with one away. Another ground ball. Big bounce out to Sogard. 2 outs. 2 ground outs.
If it's not him, it's usually Nick Franklin. And it doesn't have near the same effect.
Is that an unwritten rule, or is that something that's been discussed?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that.
Franklin would like to be the recipient of that celebration. Might see him hit at some point. All right, 2 outs now. 2 ground ball outs. Sets up Jared Hughes for Hunter Renfroe. Shift is on with Renfroe at the plate. He's a pull hitter.
Got to keep the ball down against this guy.
Yeah, he can launch. He just got the look of a home run hitter, doesn't he?
He stands up there looking like he just wants to pull something. Pitch him away with good stuff downstairs and take your chances. Don't make a mistake inside.
The 6'7" Jared Hughes. Straight downhill and a shot. Arcia lays out to his feet. Throw to first and in time. Oh my goodness. What a play. Orlando Arcia. It's just night after night. This guy wows us all.
Incredible stuff. Amazing. The kid is just amazing.
Wow. In the hole, slides quickly to his feet, and a cannon to first. What a way to end an inning. See if that'll get the Brewers going. Bottom 10 coming. All tied at 5 at Miller Park. Special player right there. Arcia, 22-year-old shortstop. He makes so many amazing plays, and this one is right at the top of the list, partner.
And you know what? After this play is over, he just stands there as expecting to make this play. If he doesn't get this out, he's going to be upset with himself. These are the kind of plays he thinks he should make and does most of the time. And it's all about a lot of different things, not just one. It's not just range and soft hands and throwing arm. It's everything.
So here we go with Eric Thames starting the bottom of the 10th. Left-handed Booker is back out there. The roof is starting to close. Got some changes for the Padres. Cordoba moves over to left field. Ibar is the shortstop now. Cordoba goes from short to left. One thing about Miller Park in the summertime, when the roof closes, it even becomes more of a hitter's paradise because it gets nice and hot inside Miller Park. The ball will fly. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thames in the air, left center field. Cordero's back. Cordoba's back, and it's on the top of the wall and gone again. Back-to-back games. Eric Thames with a walk-off tonight. Oh, what a finish. Eric Thames with his first career walk-off home run.
My goodness. This guy having some kind of first half.
Number 19, which ties for the National League lead. It is a walk-off homer opposite field, and for the 2nd consecutive game, he hits the top of the wall and it bounces out. Unreal.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? Lefty versus lefty. He centers on it and knocks it out of here. It carries pretty well right off the top of the wall and bounces into the Brewers bullpen. And Brewers once again going home happy. They've now won 4 straight.
Well, Eric Thames is in the spotlight. Let's send it down to Jerry Augustine. He's got Eric Thames standing by. Take it away, Augie.
Eric, 2 nights in a row, big home runs. Does anything get any better than the one you just hit?
2 home runs by an inch. I'll take that all day. An inch.
What does it say about this ball club? Getting down early, they stay here with it, come back, win a ball game. This swinging the bat good late in the ball games and come back winning ball games.
Oh, I'm getting a cramp. That's great, man. We got Pena, man. Manny Pineapple kept us in that game right there. It's all about him. Junior has settled down. He shoved. All the pitchers, the bullpen that came in. It's a great win for the team.
It's all special when that first game in a game of homestand. It's got to feel really good tonight.
Wait, what'd you say?
It feels good to win that first game in a homestand. And
oh, yeah. Let's go.
All right.
Tomorrow night.
All right. Big win for the Brewers. Back to you.
All right, Augie, thank you. I mean, that's straight out of WWE right there. This guy belongs in the middle of a ring.
Well, I mean, you kind of feel bad for him. They ripped everything off him. He was doing his best to try and keep his shirt on.
I didn't know if he was going to answer Augie or punch him or crack him over the back with a chair. What a couple of days this has been for Eric Thames. First time in his career with a walk-off home run in the major leagues, and he is just destroyed by his teammates. I tell you, this team is something else.
They are something.
Brewers Live's coming your way. They're going to show you the home run last night, the home run tonight. You will not believe it if you haven't seen it. 2 nights in a row, he hits the top of the wall and it bounces out. Both are game winners. And Eric Thames is becoming a legend here in Wisconsin already. Craig and Sean standing by. Brewers Live coming your way. Take it away, Craig.
The game of inches. Don't you love it? What a finish here at Miller Park. This team was down 4-0 early in the ball game and come back and win. We'll talk to Thames again and plenty more coming up next on Brewers Live.